Fosters is about changing the foster system. We want to ensure every child has a safe environment to grow and become healthy, successful adults.
Additionally, when I was in the foster care system, I had to defend for myself. Rescue the Foster is here to empower the youth aging out of the system and offer resources to ensure they are not dependent on the government.
What we observed was that children become institutionalized and end up in prison and providing the government with more funds.
Rescue the Foster will provide coaching, resume writing, interview skills, professional attire for interviews, budgeting, applying for college, and obtaining housing.
We want these youth to live the most free, successful life possible.
It is their right and our responsibility to ensure that our future kids and grandchildren can live happy lives.
Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord.
Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future.
How would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered as a great mother and a wonderful grandmother, and a good wife also. That's number one with me. And much of what I do, I think about my children and my grandchildren and all of our grandchildren and what they're going to face in the years ahead. That's why I want to see us get our moral compass back in line and protect our culture, protect our prosperity here in our country, so that we do have something to leave to our children and grandchildren that we can be proud of.
Well, you've been a great public servant.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you with us today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, my pleasure to be with you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Former State Senator Nancy Schaefer and her husband Bruce were found dead today at their Habersham County home.
Fox 5's Justin Gray is here now with more. Justin?
Yeah, Russ, former State Senator Nancy Schaefer was well known for championing conservative causes. Tonight, GBI crime scene investigators are at her Northeast Georgia home. They're searching for clues that might tell them what led to the sudden and violent deaths of Miss Schaefer and her husband.
And I ask that you please rise with me for a moment of silence.
The announcement was made around 7:30 this evening on the floor of the Georgia General Assembly. The bodies of former State Senator Nancy Schaefer and her husband Bruce were found today at their Habersham County home. Investigators say both had been shot.
Preliminarily, it looks to be a murder-suicide. The GBI has 6 agents on the scene, 2 crime scene specialists. There will be a thorough investigation.
Punch 11.
Mrs. Schaefer was a former Atlanta mayoral candidate. She was also a 2-term state senator who represented the 50th district, including all or parts of 8 North Georgia counties. Mrs. Schaefer left the General Assembly after losing a North Georgia Republican runoff in 2008. She founded the nonprofit Family Concerns, Inc. in 1986. Schaefer was an opponent of abortion and gay marriage and fought for public display of the 10 Commandments. And in 1994, Mrs. Schaefer was the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor. The 73-year-old was also a former first vice president of the Georgia Baptist Convention. Nancy Schaefer and her husband moved to Habersham County in North Georgia after living in Atlanta for 35 years. They were parents of 5 children, 4 sons and a daughter, Deidre.
All right, thank you, Justin.
Good evening and welcome to Rescue the Fosters. I am Gino, your host, and as always, the co-founders and co-hosts of Rescue the Fosters, Sylvia Beachy and KK Emmett. Ladies, how are you?
I'm good, Gino. I'm excited for tonight. I'm excited to talk about Nancy Schaefer and what we have going on. And yeah, how are you?
Doing good. How about you, KK?
Good. Just been busy working. I'm excited for tonight too.
Yeah. You guys can't sleep. There's too much to do. We were talking about this pre-show. Sylvia, we think it's about 2 hours sleep. KK, I don't know how much you're getting. I know I don't get much. I probably get 4 hours a night, and they're not in a row, so it probably doesn't really count. But look, we're in this for the long haul. We didn't get in it for the short term and for glory and fame. This is about solving problems. And Nancy Schaefer is the spearhead, the trailblazer for what we've followed in her footsteps. And our all honor goes to her. Because that woman was so brave and courageous for what she was speaking out against. And we're going to get into that tonight. Sylvia, can you go ahead and introduce our other 2 guests?
Yeah, I'm excited to have our guests on. So we have Heather and Michaela Daly. If you have been following me, then you will see me actually a lot around Michaela's case right now because her case is so corrupt. And we're going to get into that. I'm going to let her tell a little bit of her story from her side because it's insane what they are doing. Children are in harm's way. They are hurting. We have the proof. We posted the evidence. And Gino, and after Michaela talks, we can even pull up some posts and show the pictures of the bruises on this child. And no one is doing nothing at all. And we're just tired of defects. Always, if a child is, there could just be a mention that a bruise might happen in 5 years from now, and CPS will be there to remove the child. But if it's in defects custody, they are going to cover, and they will not protect the child. Foster care is not safe for children.
So true. It's disgusting.
Welcome, Heather, Michaela.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. I know you've been with us a couple times now. Heather's almost becoming a co-host. She might have to go on the payroll.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. It's always fun hanging out with you all.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. You are just like a treasure trove of knowledge. Like I'm just like blown away every time you start speaking law because that's like a foreign language to me. I mean, I just don't get it sometimes. I've learned over the last few years like how to kind of like parse it a little bit, but before that I knew nothing about it. Like I didn't care about law unless it required, unless it was against me, I guess, then it would definitely matter. But for what we talk about though, we just see the injustice time and time again. And it's good to see that there's truth tellers out there and people ready to fight for those that can't fight for themselves. So Heather, we definitely appreciate you. Michaela, it's a pleasure to meet you, and our prayers go out to you and your children and what they've done to you. This is a wicked system, people. Like hopefully if you're new to this, you're going to stick around and you're going to hear some of the things we need to talk about tonight with Michaela's story, but also just what Nancy Schaefer was dealing with in her 8 years as a senator. And the irony too with Nancy Schaefer was when I was listening to her backstory, she knew nothing about this either. And it was a grandmother that had reached out to her and told her a terrible story that was going on with her grandchildren. And that touched her heart. And she didn't just turn her head and walk away and pretend like nothing's going on like a lot of these people do. No, she like stuck her nose in and says, you know what, maybe this is true. I should probably look into it. And the woman wasn't even one of her constituents. She was from out of state. It wasn't a Georgian. It was a woman from out of state. And so that was fascinating to me that she would even, because the children were in Georgia, but the grandmother lived out of state, but she was willing to listen to her. And I can tell you this, in another case, I'm not going to mention names, I reached out to a certain senator in Kentucky, pretty well known. And I told him we had irrefutable evidence of crimes committed against a family. I typed up a long email, sent it off to him. And I got an automatic response back telling me that, oh, sorry, you don't live in Kentucky. We can't help you. Well, if it's kind of weird that Nancy Schaefer could help somebody out of state with a problem that was going on in their state, but he couldn't help me. So that was disappointing, but I thought that was a very interesting fact about her. I think the world of Nancy Schaefer now that I know who she is. It took me getting to know Sylvia to figure out who she was and how important she is to this movement. And I'm just glad to like sit under her tutelage and learn the things that she learned and the things she was exposing. She was very brave for it. So, okay. So Sylvia, maybe you can kind of give a little backstory on who Nancy is, why she was fighting so hard. And I mean, she's just a genuine person, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if you have any of the interviews because she actually tells it so much better. I mean, she wrote a bill, that speech. I don't know if you want to play that and let's hear from her words. And I mean, she was talking about the funding, the way that they take the children, how much the incentive is for adoption. She was exposing everything, and families were trying to figure out why their kids were taken. And she started exposing why, and we do have to ask those questions like, what's going on? We're constantly, just going along with whatever they say. And when you start asking questions, that's when you start finding out the real reason and what's going on. Do you have it?
I do. Yeah. I had a couple of them pulled up, but I think I'm going to play the shorter one since we're going to go into the stories later, just because if we play the whole conference, it's like 30 minutes long. But this will give the gist of what she was uncovering. So let's, if you guys can mute during this, it's going to be about 8.5 minutes. Thanks.
I have served in the Georgia State Senate for 4 years. One of my greatest pleasures, other than my sonogram bill, was getting the resolution passed to stop the North American Union. However, for 4 years, I have been confronted with families struggling to remove their children from the clutches of Child Protective Services. I wrote a scathing report last year on the corruption in Child Protective Services, and an update and copies are out on the table. During the last session of the Georgia General Assembly, I introduced Senate Bill 415 relating to juvenile proceedings, and copies of that bill are attached to the report on the tables. The Bill 415 called for the time allotted for the Department of Human Resources to provide emergency care to a child without a court order to be reduced from 7 days to 72 hours. It required a court order to enter the residence of a parent or guardian to seize a child. It called for family court to be open to the public. Confidentiality and secrecy in family court protects the wrong people. It provided that immunity in the system shall not extend to the seizures of children that are found to be in violation, nor to the administration of medication to a child over the objection of the parent or custodian, and it provided the state from applying for obtaining, receiving, or accepting adoption incentive payments under the Federal Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997. The Department of Child Protective Services has become a protected empire built on taking children and separating families. This is not to say that there are not those children who do need to be removed from wretched situations and need protection. However, my report is concerned with the children and parents caught up in legal kidnapping. Having worked with probably 300 cases statewide and hundreds across the country, and in nearly every state, I am convinced there is no accountability in Child Protective Services. I have come to several conclusions. 2 or 3 are, 1, that poor parents, not always, but oftentimes, are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire an attorney and fight the system. That caseworkers and social workers are very often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence. They fabricate evidence, and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. That the separation of families and the snatching of children is growing as the business grows because state and local governments have grown accustomed to having these taxpayer dollars to balance their ever-growing budgets. That the bureaucracy is huge. Look at who is getting paid. State employees, attorneys, court investigators, guardian ad litems, court personnel and judges. There are psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, counselors, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on and on. All are looking to the children in state custody to provide job security. That the Adoption and the Safe Families Act, set in motion first in 1974 by Walter Mondale and later in 1997 by President Bill Clinton, offered cash bonuses to the states for every child they adopted out of foster care. In order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, local Child Protective Services would need more children. They must have merchandise that sells, and they must have plenty so the buyer can choose. Some counties often offer $4,000 to $6,000 bonus for each child adopted out to strangers, and an additional $2,000 for a special needs child. Employees work to keep the federal dollars flowing. But that is only the beginning figure in the formula in which each bonus is multiplied by the percentage that the state has managed to exceed its baseline adoption number. Therefore, states and local communities work hard to reach their goals for increased numbers of adoptions for children in foster care. As you can see, this program is offered from the very top and is run by Health and Human Resources. This is why victims in Child Protective Services get no help from their legislators. It explains why my bill, Senate 415, suffered such defeat in the Judicial Committee, and why I was cut off at every juncture, and why I was defeated myself last month for my re-election by another Republican. That tax dollars are being used to keep this gigantic system afloat. Many grandparents have called me to get custody of their grandparents before being lost in the system. Grandparents who lose their grandchildren to strangers have lost their own flesh and blood. The children lose their family heritage, and grandparents, and parents too, lose the connection of their heirs. And that the National Center on Child Abuse and Neglect in 1998 reported that 6 times more children died in foster care than in the general public, and that once removed to official safety, these children are far more likely to suffer abuse, including sexual molestation, than in the general population. Think what that number is today, 10 years later. Here are a couple of the recommendations on my list. Call for an independent audit of all state child protective services and for a federal congressional hearing on child protective services. Abolish the federal and state financial incentives that have turned child protective services into a business that separates families for money. I have witnessed such injustice and harm brought to so many families that I am not sure if reform of the system is even possible. The system cannot be trusted. It does not serve the people. It obliterates families and children simply because it has the power to do so. What I have said to you in these few minutes is that we must confront the fraud in child protective services. Child Protective Services seizes children using the very system that is paid for by the taxpayer, who actually believes it is used to protect abused and neglected children. The bureaucracy of workers benefit financially by a system that converts children into cash while destroying their families and their lives. No child who emerges from the system can ever be sound or whole. Many disappear and never are ever heard from again. God will not stand for what is happening to our children and our families. His heart beats for these children. He will lift up the downtrodden. What is happening in America regarding child protective services is a criminal political phenomenon, and it must be brought to an end. Please join me in working to help set our children and our families free. To whom much is given, much is required. As you pray for this nation, pray for the upcoming election, and for our national financial crisis, please pray for our children and for our families. We all must press on and win this race.
Can you say it any better than that?
No, that's why I wanted her to say it. You just can't. I mean, she says it perfectly, and it's exactly what's going on. I mean, once Heather tells you about Michaela's story, Michaela, you can, it's exactly what they're doing. They're tearing families apart. There is no incentive to keep them together. And I couldn't have said it a better way.
No, gosh, where do you start? Honestly, I really would like to read through her report. It won't take very long. I mean, we can skip over a few parts, but I think it reiterates what she was just saying. But I think this is so critical for the time we're at, the juncture we're at, with what I think is about to break.
Yes.
I think the back of this system is about to break. I think we're very close. I think enough people are starting to wake up to the nonsense and realizing that the taxpayer is funding it. Yes, you, the person watching this, you're the one funding it. And you didn't even know. They're taking billions of dollars every year and stealing children from loving parents. That's what's happening. It's not the other way around. Oh, the parents are terrible people. They deserve to have their children taken away. That's what I used to think. But you got to change your mind. You got to open your eyes. That's not real. The overwhelming majority of children being taken from homes is based on nonsense. There's not even crimes. There's not even misdemeanors most of the time. Sometimes there's not even a warrant. It's insanity. Like, this has to stop. And, you know, like I said, she was on the cutting edge. She was the trailblazer for all this stuff. So, and I don't find it ironic that she's in Georgia, or that she was in Georgia, and you guys are all from Georgia. Like, how awesome is that God orchestrated that? So, okay. So this is the introduction. Sylvie, can you read that or no?
Oh, yeah.
Or
anybody?
I can read it.
Okay.
I say KK does it.
Yeah, KK's got the best eyes.
And she's got a good voice too.
Yeah, she does.
My introduction into the Child Protective Services cases was due to a grandmother in an adjoining state who called me with her tragic story. Her two granddaughters had been taken from her daughter who lived in my district. Her daughter was told wrongly that if she wanted to see her children again, she should sign a paper and give up her children. Frightened and young, the daughter did. I have since discovered that parents are often threatened into cooperation of permanent separation of their children. The children were taken to another county and placed in foster care. The foster parents were told wrongly that they could adopt the children. The grandmother then jumped through every hoop known to man in order to get her granddaughters. When the cases finally came in court, it was made evident by one of the foster parents' children that the foster parents had, at any given time, 18 foster children, and that the foster mother had an inappropriate relationship with the caseworker. In the courtroom, the juvenile judge acted as though she was shocked and said the two girls would be removed quickly. They were not removed. Finally, after much pressure being applied to the Department of Family and Children's Services of Georgia, DFACS, the children were driven to South Georgia to meet their grandmother, who gladly drove to meet them. After being with their grandmother 2 or 3 days, the judge quite out of the blue, wrote up a new order to send the girls to their father, who previously had no interest in the case and who lived on the West Coast. The father was in an adult entertainment. His girlfriend worked as an escort, and his brother, who also worked in the business, had a sexual charge brought against him. Within a couple of days, the father was knocking on the grandmother's door and took the girls kicking and screaming to California. The father developed an unusual relationship with the former foster parents and soon moved to the southeast. The foster parents began driving to the father's residence and picking up the little girls for visits. The oldest child had told her mother and grandmother on 2 different occasions that the foster father molested her. To this day, after 5 years, this loving, caring blood relative grandmother does not even have a visitation privilege with the children. The little girls are, in my opinion, permanently traumatized, and the young mother of the girls was so traumatized with shock when the girls were first removed from her that she has never completely recovered. The mother has rights, but the father still has custody of the children. Throughout this case and through the process of dealing with multiple other mismanaged cases of Department of Family and Children's Services, I have worked with other desperate parents across the state of Georgia and many other states because their children were taken for no cause and they have no one with whom to turn. I have witnessed ruthless behavior from many caseworkers, social workers, investigators, lawyers, judges, therapists, and others such as those who pick up the children. I have been stunned by what I have seen and heard from victims all across this land. In this report, I have focused mainly on the Georgia Department of Family and Children's Services. However, I believe Child Protective Services nationwide has become corrupt and that the entire system is broken beyond repair. I'm convinced parents and families should be warned of the dangers. The Department of Children of Child Protective Services, known as the Department of Family and Children's Services in Georgia and other titles in other states, has become a protected empire built on taking children and separating families. This is not to say that there are not those children who do need to be removed from wretched situations and need protection. However, this report is concerned with the children and parents caught up in legal kidnapping and effective policies and agency that on certain occasions would not remove a child or children when the child was enduring torment and abuse. In one country in my district, I arranged a meeting for 37 families to speak freely and without fear. These poor parents and grandparents spoke of their painful heart wrenching encounters with defects. Their suffering was overwhelming. They wept and cried. Some did not know where their children were and had not seen them in years. I had witnessed the Gestapo at work, and I witnessed the deceitful conditions under which children were taken in the middle of the night, out of hospitals, off of school buses, and out of homes. In one county, a private drug testing business was operating within the agency department that required many drug tests from parents and individuals for profit. It has already made over $100,000 due to being exposed. Several employees in this particular office were fired. However, they have been rehired either in neighboring counties or in the same county again. According to the calls I am now receiving, the conditions in that county are returning to the same practices they had before the light was shown on their evil deeds. Having worked with probably 300 cases statewide and now hundreds and hundreds across this nation and nearly every state, I'm convinced that there is no responsibility and no accountability a child protective services system. I have come to the conclusion the poor parents very often are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire lawyers and to fight the system. Being poor does not mean you are not a good parent or that you do not love your child or that your child should be removed and placed with strangers. That all parents are capable of making mistakes, and that making a mistake does not mean your children are to be removed from the home. Even if the home is not perfect, it is home, and that's where a child is the safest and where he or she wants to be with family. That parenting classes, anger management classes, counseling referrals, therapy classes, and on are demanded of parents with no compassion by the system, even while the parents are at work and while their children are separated from them. Sometimes parents are required to pay for the programs. This can take months or even years, and it emotionally devastates both children and parents. Parents are victimized by the system that makes a profit for holding children longer and bonuses for not returning children to their parents. That caseworkers and social workers are very often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence, they fabricate evidence, and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. However, when charges are made against Child Protective Services, the charges are ignored. That the separation of families and the snatching of children is growing as a business because local governments have grown accustomed to having these taxpayer dollars to balance their ever expanding budgets. That Child Protective Services and juvenile court can always hide behind a confidentiality cause in order to protect their decisions and keep the funds flowing. There should be open records and court watches. Look who is being paid. There are states employees, lawyers, court investigators, guardian ad litems, and court personnel and judges. There are psychologists and psychiatrics, counselors, caseworkers, therapists, foster parents, adopted parents, and on. All are looking to the children in state custody to provide job security. Parents do not realize that the social workers are the glue and hold the system together that funds the court appointed attorneys and the multiple other jobs, including the systems and psychiatrics, therapists, their own attorneys, and others. That the adoption of the Safe Families Act, set in motion first in 1974 by Walter Mondale and later in 1997 by President Bill Clayton, offered cash bonuses to the states for every child they adopted out of foster care. In order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, local child protective services and need more children. They must have merchandise, children that sells. You must have plenty so the buyer can choose. Some counties are known to give a 4,000 to 6,000 bonus for each child adopted out to strangers and an additional 2,000 for a special needs child. Employees work to keep the federal dollars flowing. State departments of human resources and affiliates are given a baseline number of expected adoptions based on population. For every child DHR and the CPS can get adopted, there is the bonus of 4,000 or maybe 6,000, but that is only the beginning figures in the formula in which each bonus is multiplied by the percentage that the state has managed to exceed its baseline adoption number. Therefore, states and local communities work hard to reach their goals for increased numbers of adoptions for children in foster care. That there is double dipping. The funding continues as long as a child is out of the home. There's funding for foster care, then when a child is placed with a new family, then adopted bonus funds are available. When a child is placed in a mental health facility and is on 16 drugs per day, like 2 children of a consensual of mind, more funds are involved, and so is Medicaid. As you can see, this program is ordered from the very top and run by Health and Human Resources. This is why victims of CPS get no help from their legislators. It explains why my bill, SB 415, suffered such defeat in the Judicial Committee, why I was cut off of every At every juncture, legislator and governors must remember who funds their paychecks, that there are no financial resources and no real drive to unite a family and help keep them together or provide effective care, that the incentive for social workers to return children to their parents quickly after taking them has disappeared, and who in protective services will step up to the plate and say this must end. No one, because they are all in the system together, and a system with no leader and no clear policies will always fail the children. Just look at the waste in government that is forced upon the taxpayer, that the policy manual is considered the last word for CPS defects. However, it is too long, too confusing, poorly written, and does not take the law into consideration, that if the lives of children were improved by removing them from their home, there might be a greater need for protective services. But today, children are not safer. Children of whom I am aware have been raped and impregnated in foster care. It has known fact that the children are in much more danger in foster care than they are in their own home, even though home may not be perfect. That some parents are even told if they want to see their children or grandchildren, they must divorce their spouse. Many who are underprivileged, feeling they have no option, will divorce and then just continue to live together. That is an anti-family policy, but parents will do anything to get their children home with them. However, when the parents cooperate with the child protective services, their behavior is interpreted as guilt when nothing could be further from the truth. Fathers, non-custodial parents, I must add, are oftentimes treated as criminals without access to visit or even see their own children, have child support payments strangling the very life out of them. That the Foster Parents Bill of Rights does not stress that a foster parent is there temporarily to care for a child until the child can be returned home. Many foster parents today use the Foster Parent Bill of Rights as a means to hire a lawyer and seek to adopt a child placed in their care from their real parents, who are desperately trying to get their child home out of the system. Recently in Atlanta, a young couple learning to be a new parent and loving it were told that because of an anonymous complaint, their daughter would be taken into custody by the state defects. The couple was devastated and then was required by defects to take parenting classes, alcohol counseling, and psychological evaluations if they wanted to get their child back. All of the courses cost money, for which most parents are required to pay. While in their anxiety and turmoil to get their child home, the baby was left for hours in a car to die in the heat in her car seat by a foster parent who forgot about the child. This should never have happened. It is a tragic. In many cases, after the parents have jumped through all the hoops, they still do not get their child. As long as the child is not returned, there's money for the agency, for foster parents, for adopted parents, and for the state. That tax dollars are being used to keep this gigantic system afloat. Yet the victims' parents, grandparents, guardians, and especially the children are changed for the system services that grandparents have called from all over the state of Georgia, from other states trying to get custody of their grandchildren. CPS claims relatives are contacted, but there are many, many cases that prove differently. Grandparents who lose their grandchildren to strangers have lost their own flesh and blood. The children lose their family heritage, and grandparents and parents too lose all connections to their heirs. That the National Center on Child Abuse and Neglect in 1998 reported that 6 times as many children died in foster care than in the general public, and that once removed to officially safety, these children are far more likely to suffer abuse, including sexual molestation, than in the general population. Think what that number is today, 10 years later. That according to the California Little Hoover Commission report, in 2003, 30% to 70% of children in California group homes do not belong there and should not have been removed from their homes. Do you read the last part? Recommendations. Oh, recommendations.
Yes. Yeah, I want to. Okay, you know what? Maybe let's save this for a little bit because I want to have a discussion about this, I think, a little later. So remind me to come back to this and we'll go over the recommendations that Nancy Schaefer had for Bex and other CPS the criminal syndicate, I guess let's just call it, across this country. So I don't know. I mean, that you talk about well written. I mean, that hits on all the major points. It sounds like it could be written today. It's the exact same playbook. And this is what I think we've been trying to stress on Rescue the Fosters over the last 3.5 years, is that it's the same patterns. It's the same playbook. Why? Because it's incentivized. They make a ton of money. And just like Nancy said, does the governor want it to end? No. It's part of his paycheck. And look, I get it. We all need to make an honest living. But come on. Like off the backs of our children, tearing families apart?
That's not enough.
They're lying. They're falsifying documents. They're lying under oath. This is not honest.
Or transparency.
You know, it's very validating to see somebody in that kind of position saying the things that I feel like I've screamed to psychologists and lawyers and anybody that's being paid in the system to say this is really what's going on, and they like look at me like a conspiracy theorist almost, but to hear her saying it is like I don't feel as crazy, I guess. I don't know.
You're not crazy, Michaela. They just want to make you feel that way so that when you tell people, they look at you the way that you're saying.
Right.
And this is why it's important. Your feelings are validated. What you are feeling is correct. You are right. They are trafficking your children.
Or even the gaslighting into being like, oh, well, they're helping or they're doing this, or it's just their job so they can't help in certain situations. Is like, no, if it was my job, I would do whatever I could to help any child anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Their greatest fear is strength in numbers. Us coming against them. Parents uniting and saying, enough, stop stealing our kids. That's what has to happen. Civil disobedience, I don't care what you call it, non-violent. I will stress that. It's non-violent. What they have done is criminal. They should be in jail. And some of these people, I mean, I've said it before, and this is my own personal opinion. Well, you know where I'm going. They need to be somewhere not on this earth. They're sick people. These are very, very sick people. They go home with their own children, their own families. They go on nice little vacations, and they reap the rewards off families' backs, our taxpayer monies, with their new cars, their homes, vacations, all the while breaking up the American family. It's been going on way too long. It's time it stops. And Nancy paid severely for this message. It cost her life at 73 or 74 years old in 2010. I think it was March. Is it March 26th? I'm sorry about the date.
Yeah.
She was murdered, her and her husband. Someone went to her house and shot them both. Now, the official report is a murder-suicide. Do you think a Christian woman of her caliber and what she attained in life with a sound mind was suicidal, or her husband, who was also very sane in mind and very committed to his faith? Give me a break. Give me a break. It's cold-blooded murder. And isn't it funny? Anytime it's around children and families, it gets conveniently swept under the rug. Isn't that amazing? No one ever follows up. Well, gosh, what a wonderful person. What wonderful people. Look what they tried to do. That's the narrative. That's what they want. No, it's time we speak up. Enough is enough. Sorry, that's my rant for the night. I swear I won't have any more.
Yeah, right.
Usually there is two, but I'm going to leave it to one tonight.
It's okay. We like your rants.
I wanted to go back and talk about the evaluation stuff that Nancy was talking about, because, you know, just like how they make the parents do it, they make the children do the same exact thing. And they're like, oh, well, this is going to help you out. But ultimately, the evaluations, they don't really help you. They make it where they turn it against you. They make you think you're crazy, and they just lie and manipulate. And I mean, that's exactly why I was used. But there was times where I did have to take it, but I did not want to take it, because it's like, I already know what you're going to do. You're going to use it against me. You're going to try to get my foster parent involved and then lie and twist everything. And so it's just those evaluations, like, they need to be taking these. Why don't you take it? Because that's really what you need it for, not for these parents and these children, because I don't know who you playing with, but that's what you need to be doing. They need to be taking a lie detector test or something, like, I don't know.
Well, not like I need to like explain this, but just for the folks that are out there watching and you don't know about this, the evaluations they put on these poor parents is rigged. The whole system's rigged. That's what it's about. So they got to pin something on them and say, oh, look, they're crazy. They can't take care of children. Right. And Nancy had mentioned in her report, and Sylvia, sorry to interrupt. Nancy mentioned one part in her report about, a perfect family. There's no such thing as a perfect family. Give me a break, right? All of us make mistakes. Every parent has made a mistake. Every parent regrets something they may have said or done with their children. As long as it's non-abusive, that these children aren't being beaten or abused physically or mentally, that's what we're talking about. Yes, we do need those children removed from those houses for their safety. But what do we find? Isn't it weird how CPS or DFACS in Georgia, I'll be darned, a child is being abused by a foster parent and nothing gets done. Right. Nothing. Nope, just leave them there. Oh, they're fine. The police show up. Oh, nothing. Everything's good. Not our jurisdiction, whatever they're going to use, whatever excuse. And what do? They leave. But if it was the biological parents, oh, that's another story. That's a whole nother story. So I want Heather and Sylvia and KK and Michaela, if you want to jump in, explain, why does that happen?
Why?
Money. Vulnerability, because like, I know for my case, I was vulnerable. Like, I was getting abused by my one of my brothers, and I was already very rebellious. I feel like I didn't belong. So I really do think they target like your vulnerability. And like, when you do something, they're going to use it against you. They're like, well, you ran away, so now you need to be in foster care, where that's not really technically what should have happened and transpired, but it did. And that was their way of getting in. But see, as a child, you don't know any better sometimes. And then you get involved and they get involved, and then just crazy stuff just spiral after that.
That's really good insight.
I think to answer your question, exactly what KK said, they prey on vulnerability. So if a teenager or a parent or anybody in the family is having some kind of issue, well, they're going to use that as an in, because they know they can make money, meet their targets, all the things. And then there's the lack of education.
Yes.
Parents and children don't know their rights. I mean, I'm not expecting children to, but parents don't know, because we've not, as a society, we've not made it a priority to teach parents their rights. I mean, you can have children, and apparently now we're strongly encouraging people to have children. but we don't explain to them what their rights are once they have them. And we don't explain to them how easy it is for their children to be taken from them in a moment's notice. So that's why I'm on a mission to teach everybody as much as I possibly can what I know about the law, because there's really no reason to pay lawyers thousands and thousands of dollars for this kind of stuff. I mean, the law, there's a lot of good law out there that you can use. You want to add?
Something that I would add is like between some people's ego and the job security that they were talking about, that it seems like the people who are, I don't even want to say good, but I know from like my case that there's people that were transporters for my children, or like when I was younger and in foster care myself, there was workers at the group homes that I was in that I'm felt myself get close to, but it was like they are in it for feeling like they're saving children. And when I went into foster care, didn't need to be saved. And my children, now that they're in foster care, didn't need to be saved either. They needed to go home, and I needed to go home. But all these people who get involved in it feel like they're doing something better, or that's what they tell people, but it's almost ignorance that they don't even understand that whatever fight that they're fighting is not actually helping. Because when you're in it as a parent, as a grandparent, as advocates like you and Miss Sylvia, I mean, that's how you actually help us send the kids home. Because like Miss Nancy was saying, we want to get the children back and reunited, but DFACS and CPS doesn't ever seem like they want that. Like, it's about the money, it's about the people's ego, it's about them making themselves feel better about saving the orphans, as the lay people like to say, and everything. But it's never for the right reason, for sure, when
It's
you feel
savior mentality. Yep.
Well said, Michaela. And Michaela's going to tell her story in a little bit. We're going to get to that for sure. Sylvia, I want you to touch on it. You were a caseworker. You were the whistleblower. You came out. You said, "I'm taking this whole system down." I love that recording, by the way. And you said, "I'm going to change it." And they laughed basically at you as you were walking out the door. Don't let the knob hit you in the you know what. And so fast forward, here you are. You're exposing it, and without fear. And this is the thing, folks. Is it scary, these people? Yeah, because they're part of a mob. It's mafia type tactics, okay? That's a little scary. But look, the bully needs to be confronted on the playground sometimes.
Yeah.
So we're taking the money back. You ain't taking my lunch money, okay? Like we're getting it back. And so it's time. It's time people just stand up. If you're in the system, if you're a caseworker, if you're a lawyer, I don't care what position you hold in so-called child welfare, we need you to come forward. It's time. Start speaking. Nancy was telling the truth. Nancy had no one to help her. No one. A few people behind the scenes. Where were all the other Republican senators? Why weren't they standing up? Well, she told you why. Because they were being paid by the same system. So please, we need you to come forward. Also, I want to shout out to Susie. Susie, thank you so much for joining us over in Rumble. Susie was a friend of Nancy Schaefer and worked alongside of her. Susie, yes, you are more than welcome anytime to come on and tell your story. I know you, she said, sorry, I want to make sure I quote this right. "I'd love to share with your group what we are doing." Yes, please. We would love to hear that. We could do a private Zoom meeting with you. That would be fantastic. And if you want to come on, you are always more than welcome to do so. Also, good to see you, Garth, Joette. Thank you guys for joining us as always over there in Rumble. Hopefully, are we live on
Yes, we are
X
live.
yet? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Sylvia, about you being the whistleblower.
Well, Heather has something she wants to say.
Go ahead, Heather.
Thanks. Sylvia can almost read my mind now. I just wanted to say, for anybody out there listening, look, I know this is very scary. If you're not ready to come out, with your full first and last name and be on a podcast and all of that, we understand that. but everybody has some skill set or something that they can do to help this cause. If you know how to type, if you know how to use a telephone, we can use all the help we can possibly get. If you want to reach out to Sylvia privately, Michaela privately, KK privately, Gino privately, whatever, reach out, and I'm sure there's something that you can do to help. If you are not ready to, go head on, we totally understand that. But if you are, we welcome you. Come on, join us.
Right. Yes.
So
No,
personally, for
that's
me,
right.
that just reaching out, if you are somebody who's been affected by CPS in whatever capacity that is just having the support system of people who know what that's like, because it definitely feels like once defects and CPS touches your life, you might be in a lot of pain, but there's a lot of people out there who are also in that same kind of pain. And it's not it's not a band-aid, but it is like a wonderful thing to have when you're in that kind of place where it seems like there's nothing out there or no one, or you're lost. So I know that's how I feel for sure, having these wonderful people that I get to meet every day and all the time here to remind me to keep going and stuff.
I love that, Michaela. Yes. So it does, they do try to make you feel like you're crazy. They gaslight you, they isolate you, they tell you who you are allowed and not allowed to talk to, and
Live
that's
with
the
Or
thing.
live with or be married to. Yeah.
They literally like did that to Michaela. I'll let Michaela tell her story, but these people are so, like, you have to be a miserable person, miserable, to make people feel that way. Like, I'm trying really hard to pray for them, but I'm really struggling with that part. Like, I really am, because I try to pray for my enemies, but it's been really hard. Like, I will have to say that that's the part I struggle with, because what you're doing, the pain that you're putting families through, is so messed up and so evil on so many layers. And I know that there are caseworkers out there watching this show, and I have been there where you are, but there are other jobs. There's so many different fields you can go into. Literally, you choose it, you can do it. You don't have to participate in child trafficking. You do not have to participate in this. You can do, especially with today's world, you can literally find a job working from home, and you won't be bullied all day. You won't be threatened all day. Like, how amazing would that be?
And also, I want the audience to hear this clearly, that people don't realize, like, when you get in the system, yes, you'll be in the system, and then when you get out, you're still traumatized. Like, that's how it was for me. Like, I was in constant survival mode, like constantly, like day to day, like, sleeping in my car, not knowing if I was going to have a place to live, just fighting for my life. And so people don't realize, like, it also has long-term effects with these families and children. Like, they have these scars and the pain. So, and the only way I got through that was through Jesus Christ, my support system, like Sylvia, and then all the other great people that I'm meeting. So, people really need to know that this affects them even later on. And so I want people to know that and be aware of that. So,
Yes.
That was something like what Nancy was saying. She that a lot of the kids end up institutionalized. I remember them having like a conference when I was in foster care with all of us in a room, and like they laid out the statistics of, you'll either be dead, you'll be in jail, or you can try and make it out. But they were like, these are your three options. And now that I'm 28 years old and been out of foster care for almost 10 years, a lot of my friends that were in there with me died. And I have some friends who did end up in jail. And then I have the little teeny group of like a couple of us that we talk to each other sometimes, but life is still real hard, and defects is still a big part of our life.
And it does.
Right.
Go ahead, KK. Sorry.
I would say you're on point, because that's exactly like the children that I've met. Like they're either in prison right now, they died, they're pregnant, or they are actually doing really good. So you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, it does seem like this is a generational thing. Like if you were in the foster system, they're going to come after you for the next generation. That does seem to be a pattern. I'm not saying it happens 100% of the time, but that definitely rears its ugly head occasionally, for sure. Sylvia or Heather, maybe you guys can comment on that.
Oh yeah, I'll comment on it just in case for anybody who doesn't know. This is my baby right here. So even y'all can't see it, but she's about 2 feet taller than me. Defects took her from me about 11 years ago, and then 1 year ago they took her 3 kids from her. And I definitely think that they track these kids and pay attention if they have children, and certainly if they get any anonymous call on hotline or anything like that, they immediately know, oh, that child was already in our care once before, so they can use that against them in court to take their children from them.
The stack of my file from defects is like this big.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely part of their playbook. I mean, I've not seen it in writing, but I see it in practice. That's definitely what they do.
And it would make sense. It would make sense that they want it to be a pipeline to continue the abuse, to continue the income. And, it's also a feeder to the prison system. I know you guys briefly mentioned that, but that's a huge factor.
The lady was saying is that she was just like, it goes straight from, this is how we keep the merchandise going, like how farming the kids to make more kids, because I mean, that's kind of what happened with me, and you don't tell them about making more babies and you just end up going into jail or doing one of the other things. That's not good.
Yeah, Ava brings up a good point over in the Rumble chat. She said it's in the schools too. When my daughter was 5, they literally baited her into saying she was beat. Oh boy, we heard that one before too. That's another one. These counselors, so-called counselors, it's scary. Like pediatricians, I mean, the medical kidnapping side of this, all of it. Like they bait and switch these poor kids and trick them and get them scared, right? These kids are nervous. They're standing or sitting before an adult in a small room off to the side where no other adult supervision is around. And they're saying, oh, has mommy ever touched you inappropriately, or daddy, and all these perverted things. And they're like, well, one time I was in the bathtub. Yeah, when the kid was 2 years old and you're bathing them with the soap bar and a wash rack. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's so stupid.
Yep. It really is.
I also think they have these people set up in every system, like school, nurse, like whatever. Like they have it in every system. And like even like, I'm not even gonna lie, in church too, because they have support. This is the part that I was thinking about the other day, was they said, oh, well, we have to write down if there's any abuse, sexual abuse, whatever, like suicide, they have to write it down and report it. And the thing is, that's also a way where the child could be tracked too. So it's like all of the system is set up for children to be taken.
Yeah.
To funnel children into the system.
And then to take all these kids, and if they had a traumatic experience beforehand, it goes to 1,000 after that, because the experience of being in foster care is awful. Like I don't know anybody that was in it that was like, this was great. I'm real glad that happened to me. So I mean, just to take kids out of there, traumatize them worse, medicate them, separate them from their family, friends, school, sometimes states that they were living with, it doesn't make any sense.
And also, I think that they're putting so many children in foster care that I believe that there isn't so many foster parents, because they have to put these children in hotels. They have to put them in the defects office, literally, and respite care. Like they literally have to choose other routes to place these children in, because they want this money so bad. They have to put them in these other environments, which is not safe for children at all.
What she said.
Yes.
Well said, KK. McCord14 said, I took impact classes, foster parent training, and was taught a red flag for a worker before they even go to the home as if the parent was a former foster child.
So well, they do teach them that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all.
I think they have all the tricks. They used to be up their sleeves. Now I think it's out in the open. Like, I think everybody's
It is
catching
so
on.
out in the open.
It is very out in the open. They're very.
That is so. I noticed when you were reading Ms. Schaefer's report there, everything is so current. That was the only thing that I didn't see was current. Back then, they were at least trying to keep it under the radar. Now they just don't even care. They have blasted out. They're not even trying to hide what they're doing.
No.
And it makes sense why they wouldn't want to hide it, because who cares? There's no oversight. And they, by the way, they don't use the Constitution. So who cares?
No.
Nope.
What did Nancy call them? The what empire? Does anybody remember? I'm going to start using that language. Something the empire.
I can't remember.
And what year was that report? Gino, do you know? Does anybody have it handy?
I think it was 2009. Let me see. Hold on.
You have to go back to an empire.
2007, actually. November 16, 2007. Yeah, I'll look through it and try to find that evil. I love that line too.
Something about empire. I can't remember it, but I like that language. I'm sorry.
Well,
because that's another thing.
Go ahead. Sorry.
They do that on purpose. Every state is called DCFS, CPS, DFACS, Family and Children. They call it something different in every state because they don't want us to get together and communicate about what's going on.
That's such a great point. Oh my gosh, Heather, that's such a great point. And also, I've noticed, what is it called now in your state? It's DFACS, but what does the D stand for?
Very good, Gino. I'm so proud of you for catching that. It is division, not
Isn't that crazy?
And predators.
Division of all words, division.
Yeah.
They literally have to tell you what they're doing. These people, like, paint it for you on the front door. That's how sick it is.
Yep.
It's all coming to a head. Babylon's coming down. Okay, so Sylvia, did you want to play the recording or?
Well, I want to talk about these techniques and the reason that and then we'll go into Michaela's story. So when I was a caseworker and I would bring something to them, for instance, the last case that made me quit, it was a foster youth that told me the foster parent was drinking and driving with him in the car and other kids in the car. So I had learned that if I called and told them, they would just sweep it under the rug. But if I put it in an email, they would have to follow up. So take note, people. If you put it in an email, they have to follow up. So I put it in an email and immediately I get a call from the director. What are you doing? It's like, what are you doing? And so I tell her, I'm like, that, he says that she's drinking and driving. He wants to be out of this house. He doesn't feel safe here. He doesn't feel comfortable here. I checked the fridge. There was beer in the fridge. The foster parent admitted to drinking and driving. She didn't think there was an issue with that. She was just like, yeah, but she admitted it. So they told me not to report it. Basically, the proper procedure would have been to report it to CPS, remove the child, do an investigation, and then determine based on that investigation what you find out. They told me not to call in the CPS report. They told me not to tell the DFACS worker. He had a CASA worker also, and they refused to move him. So from experience, I knew I had to manipulate them in order to get him moved. So we had a family team meeting, and I told the youth, I said, in this meeting, tell everybody in the meeting, because if you say it and your CASA is there, your caseworker is there, my supervisors are there, they are going to have to move you. And he said, they won't believe me. I said, it doesn't matter if they believe you, just say it. So he said it, and they had to move him. So then I decided to make a report because I did everything they told me not to do, right? So I reported it to the caseworker, and she's just like, nah, he just wants to move. And then I called it in. I called in the CPS report. I didn't tell them I called it in because if you're a caseworker, you understand what I'm talking about. There is a toxic environment. They harass you, they bully you, they yell at you. It's like being with an abusive boyfriend. And I mean like an abusive one, and they yell at you all day. So I didn't tell them. I just called it in. And then I said, okay, so I knew also that, say I told this to you, Gina, and then you confronted them, they would be like, I didn't say that. That's a lie. I would never say that. She's lying. So I decided to record our meetings. And I decided, okay, well, that's part of it, but I need to get proof that this is what they do. If you confront them, they automatically say, no, that she's lying. So that's this video, that's this recording, me talking to my coworker about me calling the CPS report in and how to handle it, because she is very good. I love her. She was very good. She would tell me what to do in order to get things done. But I wanted it so that I could explain it to the world, to you, to whoever's watching right now.
Awesome. Okay, so the first part of this is about a minute long, and then the second part's about 2.5 minutes. So here we go. Hopefully you guys can hear it.
In a CPS report.
On who?
On Harriet Brown.
When?
Today. Just now.
About what?
Well, his defects in CASA came for a meeting, and they were talking about his behaviors and moving, and he said no, the only reason I moved was because I didn't feel comfortable with her drinking and driving. Nobody has made a CPS report.
Really?
Norma, if that comes back on me. So I didn't want them to, I don't want it to come back on me.
Yeah, it shouldn't. It won't. It's going to be just our agency.
No, it will if they get mad at me and say, oh, we didn't tell her not to call it in, or, you know what I mean?
They'll be quick to, that'll be exactly what they say.
Exactly. So I was like, I'm going to call them before I tell them, right?
Okay, I'm going to fast forward to about 2 minutes in. Let's see.
Well, we call her Lucy. I don't know what her name is, but we call her Lucy.
You don't know what her name is?
Well, we call her Lucy. I don't think Lucy is her name.
So listen.
Okay.
So Miss Bowen was telling me that in the meeting, when Zach said this, the caseworker and CASA did not say anything and did not question him. Nothing. Like, no.
They didn't even flinch?
Nothing, she said. Because he's already said this once, right? And nobody made a CPS report.
So how do we...
So here's my thing. So I told Miss Bowen to put it in writing and send me an email, because I'm like, this could come back on us. We are mandated reporters. So she sent it to me. Well, Jackie thought it was my personal email because her email it came up as SB. She's singing Sylvia Beachy when it's Sherry Bowen. So she forwarded it to Vicky, right? And said, thanks, Miss Sylvia. Don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. But I already called it in because I was like, I'm not going to let them talk me out of calling it in. So I was thinking, because Vicky's going to have to reply and say call it in or don't call it in. And they're going to find out I called it in because they're going to investigate Harriet Brown. So I need to let them know that I called it in.
I'm just in an incident report and send it to Emory. And I let Emory send it to our RBWO or whoever the fuck we send it to.
Okay.
and do the incident report for the CPS, stating that you called it in.
Okay.
Yep.
See, I knew you would know how to deal with this.
Well, and then send it to Emory, so he can send it to whoever the fuck. Who do we send it to?
RVW.
No, it's ORCC.
RCC.
One of them agencies.
Yeah.
Well, you ain't gotta tell them nothing. And then by the time it shows up in Georgia Square and the PVA has to be done, it'll be long gone.
You're the best.
Sylvia, shame on you.
Girl. Like, so this was how I would work it. I would literally have to manipulate in order to get things done for children. This is how it's done, y'all. This is awful. Awful, awful, awful. They are literally. Go ahead, Heather. You want to
She's got something she wants to add. Go ahead.
Yes.
It was interesting that when you were talking about the moving and everything, it reminded me of when I was in the group homes, and there's different tiers as far as like, what would be the word? Like the freedoms that you can have, and
Like
the different
maximum
yeah,
security
yeah.
or minimum security.
And
Yeah.
so there was so much crazy things that were happening. I mean, the group home that I was in, the first one that I was in, it was ages 11 to 17 in one building, girls, and then there was another boys building, and then there was like an older kids building, and the facility that I was at was the lowest level, and the kids would come in there and things would happen, and they would say, well, you don't want to tell what happened to your case manager, you don't want to tell what happened to the person who was running the group home, because if we do that, you might have to go to a more maximum security, or a place that you won't have the freedom to continue to go to sports, or the freedom to go see friends outside of the group home, or to see your family, because I would go see my family and stuff. So of course you're just going to be like, oh no, that didn't happen, as soon as your case manager gets there, and they're like, great, no paperwork. So then it just continues to happen, and you're like, well, at least I get to stay at the nice group home instead of going to the one that they're telling me I have cages on the windows and stuff.
Yep. See how they did that? They're trying to get you to write a statement that didn't show their failures.
Yeah.
You recognize that too, KK?
It's also, yes, but it's also sad because they don't want to be held accountable for anything that they do. So they basically tell the child, like, well, don't either talk about it, don't say anything, just forget it ever happened, just keep on going with your life. And it's just ridiculous.
And I know for me, I would see things happening with like the other kids all the time. Like there was a girl who her parents would bring her in cigarettes and stuff when they would come to the group home to visit. And I told so many times to so many people, and was ostracized for having said something, because they were like, oh, no, don't talk about it. You know, she's going to have to leave here if you talk about it. And then we're going to lose the $15 extra for going to Chuck E. Cheese on Friday. Like, because you get $15 per kid every Friday. So, yeah, I didn't even think about that till you said it, just bringing up memories.
No, you're right. I mean, even when I was in the system, like, I remember walking, I'm just like, bro, they only care about the money. They don't really care about me or these children. That's really what it was about.
And then the people that do care, like you see them be so miserable and burn out, and then they quit. And then the person who you're like, oh my God, that person cares about me, and they're not here anymore.
No, you're so right. Like, I've had really good staff workers that would be there, and some of them would leave. Like, I'm like, wait, what happened to her? They're like, oh, she's not here anymore. I was like, what? Why? And you're absolutely right. They get burnt out.
Yeah, it's the fight, because they beat you down just like they're beating you down, right, Michaela? That's how they do the workers that care. They beat them down.
I think there's this notion with these caseworkers and anybody running these institutions of like they're just kids. They don't know what's going on. Like they're naive or something. But kids pick up on this stuff really fast. And KK, you mentioned like how you could feel like, do they even care about me? Or is it just about money? Like you picked on that when you were very young. And Michaela, I'm sure you felt the same way. But it's like they've got this attitude like, well, they're just kids. Well, guess what? Kids grow up. And while they're seeing what you're doing, by the time they reach 18 and they age out of the system, they know what's up. They're not stupid. And I think that's why you're targeted again, because they know, oh crap, they probably know the system now. They thought they were naive at one point, but then they realized, oh, they've learned. And I think they want to keep it going so that it's buried. They just keep trying to put more dirt on it so no one knows about this stuff.
To snuff it out before people like me and KK can say it was bad, you know? Because people, I mean, I talk about it with people that were also in the system, but whenever I say, oh yeah, it was bad to other people, they're like, no, they gave you a house and they gave you a place to sleep and food and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, you're one of those people. Gotcha.
Right.
And also it can go like so many spirals of like different things that like the children are being in contact with, like so many different like things that are not really going to help the child later on. And then at the end of the day, they really do not set up the children. They set them up for failure. So once they age out, they do become homeless. They don't have good support. They get on drugs. They get high. They do whatever because they don't have that support what they really needed. And then the sad thing is when they do have that support, they take it away.
Yeah.
And it's like they do not want you to prosper at all. They want you to fail while they're prospering. They want you to be down and failing.
So thinking about it, the only thing that they would really push towards us is to look as adoptable as possible when we were in front of other people. That was the only thing that they were worried about, is the image of what we looked like when we were taken to the parties to be shown off to these random families, or the Christmas celebrations where some random family buys you a whole bunch of gifts and wants to watch you open them. It just, it was all about how do you look in front of people who they can get money from.
Oh, that is true. They would even tell the kids, all right, we're having a party and they're bringing gifts and you better be nice and you better say thank you and just act thankful. And then they parade the kids around and they're like, this is what you're paying for.
Wow. And Michaela, you said adoptable as possible. Man, is that a catchphrase for sure. And this goes along with what Nancy was saying in her report. Children are merchandise. They're merchandise. They're just bought and sold.
He's the first person I've ever heard say that. So I'm happy somebody is saying it.
Yes. You're not crazy, Michaela.
We got to start using hard language again, Sylvia. Children
Yeah.
are merchandise, and whatever the empire was. We got to start
We'll
using
have to
that.
go back and find that. Yeah.
I was just telling Sylvia the other day, I'm like, we already have an outline of how this needs to be done. She did the hard work. She was on it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit has changed over 15 years, but not much. Not much. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. We have a taxpayer funded system that's incentivizing taking children. Like that's literally trafficking. I don't know what else you can call it. Right. They're using money to buy children. Like, I mean, come on. Like all the attention on the border, right? There's and that's I don't want to like demean or push down what's going on at the border. Of course, that's horrible. Anytime children or humans are being trafficked, it's a horrible situation. And as a believer in Jesus Christ, well, I mean, we're supposed to stand up for those that can't stand for themselves. Okay, so that's important. But what no one is talking about is that the foster care system is what's feeding this. These people are coming across the border because they understand our system will literally benefit them for doing what they're doing at the border. Like, no one's putting two and two together. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't know why they're not making that connection. Hopefully some people are.
And also some of these small organizations that are being contracted by DFIs. Like, I had a conversation the other day. I met one of my friends from college, and her mom works for human trafficking stuff too. And I mean, like, that conversation, it was like she went instant attack mode on me. And I'm like, no, research this stuff because you could be the one causing the trafficking, saying you're helping stop human trafficking, but you could be the reason that you're causing it without you really realizing it because you're being blindsided.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is these small little organizations that DFACS has also partnered with.
Yeah, that's how our system is set up, and that's what people don't realize is it's based off of contracts, and then so many organizations are profiting off of children. But I do want to get into Michaela's story before we get like way too far, because she does have like her story does show exactly what Nancy Schaefer was talking about. And so Heather, I don't know if you want to start, if Michaela wants to start, but they got you, huh?
I'm saying
He wants me to start. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So you take it away and just tell us, and then we'll give you up to date information as of today, actually.
Yes. Okay, so on July 19th, 2024, few more days over a year ago from today, Michaela has three special needs kids. And last summer, I was spending every day with her, taking care of the kids because she moved here from Texas. And we had all the resources set up for their special needs. The only thing we had not located yet was respite care. In case you all don't know what respite care is, it's emergency care for caregivers in general. If you need a break from caregiving, the state of Georgia, 1511-130, that was I don't want to lose my train of thought. 1511-130, OCGA 1511-130 is our code section that says the government, and here in Georgia, it's unfortunately DFACS has to provide respite care. It's temporary emergency care for up to 7 days without going to court and blaming anybody or anything. They have to provide that care. Well, on July 19th, I had to take care of my dad. He was having a medical procedure, so I left Michaela alone. And Michaela had a panic attack because her best friend had died in Texas, where she had moved from. So she had a panic attack. So she has enough protective capacity and knows her children well enough that she knew I need temporary emergency care, respite care.
And I'd done it in Texas.
Right. And she had done that once before in Texas. But in Texas, the way it works, you go to the fire department and ask for the respite care instead of DFACS. Well, so she drove to the fire department thinking it was the same in Georgia. Well, the fire department didn't even know what the word respite meant. They had no idea that there was any such law. So they just called DFACS. And then Michaela freaked out and was like, no, I don't want DFACS. I just want respite care. Well, the police and the fire department, the police also showed up. The police and the fire department finally talked her into, because remember, they didn't know what the word respite care was. So they used the word temporary. So they told her, this is just temporary. You can get your kids back as soon as you're ready. This is not a typical DFACS situation. So she left the kids and started driving to Texas to take care of her best friend's funeral situation. And she called me, of course, hysterical, just having a panic attack, really. So I started immediately, once I got out of the place where I was with my dad, I started calling DFACS, which was about 5 o'clock that day. And I think she dropped them off at 1 o'clock. So it was about 4 hours later.
It was much earlier. It was the morning. We were there for 5 hours at the fire station.
I know, but you didn't leave till about 1 o'clock. That's what it says in the report.
Yeah.
So I started calling DFACS and saying, hey, I want to come pick up the kids. Because according to the law, 1511-130, it says if the parent designates you, you can go pick up the kids immediately. So I started calling them, hey, I want to pick up the kids. Nobody answered my calls. That was on a Friday. So the next morning, I went to the DFACS office, left a Post-it note on the door. Hey, I need to pick up my kids. Started calling. I even called the hotline report. I called every number I could find. And finally, identified himself as an investigator, texted me back and said, "Today is my day off. You'll have to reach back out to me on Monday." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I need to pick up the kids right now. You're the only person that's responding. I need to pick up the kids." It's been more than a year. He's
Never heard from him again.
never responded to me again.
Except for in court.
And then, so as best we can tell, Michaela got appointed an attorney that didn't know what she was doing at all. She did not even understand the basic language of juvenile court when I tried to talk to her. And she admitted, "I'm in over my head. I just don't know what I'm doing. I should withdraw." Well, she was appointed to Michaela for the very first hearing. And she told Michaela, essentially, since you're in Texas dealing with your best friend's funeral, we're going to postpone this hearing. And so she asked Michaela, "Is that okay?" Michaela was like, "Yeah, that's okay." Well, come to find out, what she really told the court was that Michaela waived her right to a hearing. So the court documented that Michaela waived her right to a hearing, which is not
true.
Is not accurate. And then 6 days later, they had a emergency private meeting with the court that we still don't know anything about. But after that emergency private meeting, remember, DFAX has had the kids for 7 days now at this point. So they told the judge that there was an emergency of some kind, so they had to have a private meeting. I'm not sure what the emergency was, since they already had the kids for 7 days at that point. But after that meeting, the judge decided, oh, for sure, that the kids need foster care. So we have essentially been fighting ever since then. We had they would not let me represent Michaela, so she's had, well, now we're up to 9, right? We've had 9
lawyers.
9.
Plus, if you count me, 10.
So yeah, you did represent yourself one time, didn't you?
Yeah.
We've had 9 appointed lawyers, and they have all either don't know what they're doing, this is their very first case, or they know exactly what they're doing and they bulldoze Michaela and say, "You're going to do what I say or I'm going to quit." And Michaela's like, "No, no, I'm not going to do what you say. Your job is to represent me." So then they quit, or they make up some crap and say they want to quit because I'm harassing them, even though I've only talked to, I think, one of them. But anyway, no, 2 of them.
2 of them.
But anyway, I mean, I've obviously not harassed them. I was just trying to get them up to speed so we could get the kids back.
Kind of like she's doing with y'all now. So.
Right, like this, like this. But apparently this was harassment to these court-appointed lawyers that wanted the easy money, and that I was going to make them work, so they didn't want the job. Then we had one that he actually fell asleep in court, and
I witnessed that.
KK and Sylvia were there that day.
It was very hard not to slap him when he was asleep, when I looked over and the whole room was against me, but
yeah, head down, sleeping, everything.
And
then
he gave you money back, right, for the time he was sleeping?
He was court appointed.
Oh, court appointed. Oh, then he can sleep on the clock all he wants.
Well, he did
that makes more
absolutely
sense.
nothing.
He didn't ask any questions whatsoever. And then for the
Not
closing
surprising.
argument, he forgot who he was representing, so he made an argument on behalf of DFAX.
Yeah. And then tried to get me caught up when he put me on the stand, even though he begged me not to go on the stand. And I said, "No, you're going to let me get up there because you've not said anything that I want the court to know." So when I did finally get the chance to get up there, how was it that he tried to back me into a corner?
He said, "How do you feel about my representation?" Because he wanted Michaela to say, "I don't want to anymore," so he could back out. But she said, thank God she was smart on the stand. She said, "Well, I feel like we've discussed it and you know exactly what I want." Well, shortly thereafter, he withdrew, but we didn't find out he withdrew till a month later. So she had no lawyer for a month. So, but anyway, back to the adjudication.
Wait. I want to Heather real quick. So this is ridiculous. So he's your court-appointed lawyer, and you didn't even know he withdrew for a month?
No, the court right now is claiming that he was supposed to inform me of the withdrawal, but in the paperwork that he submitted to the court, it says that the court was supposed to tell me that he withdrew.
Yeah. Yeah. That just happened last week, Gino. Sorry, you didn't hear about that. Yeah, that just happened last week.
Mhm.
Actually, Sylvia and Michaela just got the paperwork yesterday. What am I thinking? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we went up to the clerk's office. We've been busy. But have we made it to the July 17th hearing? Because we do.
We jumped ahead, but I just want to say what happened at the adjudication, because that's the real important part, really, for any, hopefully there's some lawyer listening. But so at the adjudication part, which is the part you're supposed to have a trial and a lawyer and representation and notice and an opportunity to respond. Those are all your constitutional rights, by the way, for everybody listening, in case you don't know. She had none of those.
Not one.
So the defects, the allegation against her was that she abandoned her children. Well, the judge realized that was not true, so he dismissed that. But then he decided, oh, wait, I'm going to pull some different grounds out of my hat here. And so he said,
while I'm representing myself pro se.
So then he said, 2 grounds for dependency. Number 1, he didn't like her living with me. Number 2,
we have history with this judge.
So this is the same judge that took my youngest away from me. So he and I know each other. So he said 2 grounds for dependency against Michaela. Number 1, he didn't like her living with me. Number 2, 6 months prior in Texas, the kids had missed a few speech therapies while they had strep throat. Well, he decided that was medical neglect.
Not even just strep throat, it was scarlet
fever. Excuse me, scarlet fever.
Yeah.
So he decided that was dependency, medical neglect. So medical neglect.
Oh, it was because with Medicaid, they had billed out for 48 appointments with the speech therapy. And so he said that I missed a huge amount of appointments, even though I canceled the services after I told them we have scarlet fever, you can't come in the house.
And I'm
moving to Georgia. So thank you for the services that we've received, but I'm going to go ahead and cancel those. So I was penalized for 48 missed appointments. And that's how he found me medically neglectful.
And the 2 that they missed while they had scarlet fever. So.
And to add real quick, when did you find out you had to go pro se, Michaela? Like how many hours or days before your court hearing?
When I was sitting at the desk and there was nobody next to me.
Yeah.
Then everybody else had somebody next to them, if not 4 people at their table coming hard for me. I mean, it was so bad that when the lawyer, Miss Doyle or whatever her name was, and the father's lawyer was there, and we had our little lawyer meeting with just us. They were like, you speak really well, but we're not going to let you get what you're trying to get across. I hope you know that.
They told her.
Point blank, with just the 3 of us in the room after the judge dismissed everybody else. And so, I mean, I knew I wasn't going to win, even though they had nothing.
Yeah, so the judge found dependency, which was just totally unlawful completely, because you can't just tell somebody they can't live with who they want to live with. And you certainly can't find dependency because children, well, you can't find dependency based on something that has happened 6 months ago, regardless of what the circumstances were.
And then he just wanted to be cruel and say in his closing statement that how bad of a parent I was because my children, who are special needs, nonverbal, autistic, plus multiple diagnosis, weren't potty trained, and that a good mother would have their children potty trained just to push me down even further in this isolating, miserable moment of being in this room for hours with these people who were trying to convince me that they knew what's better for my children and how terrible of a person I am for all of this. Wanted to put that down. I mean, for nothing else all day, hearing that from somebody, that was probably the hardest moment. And I still think about it very often. For now, my kids have been in defects for a whole year and they're still in diapers at almost 9 years old, 7 years old, and 6 years old. So everything that he made me feel insignificant and small for that day, not one of the people who has had my children, and they've been in multiple placements, has been able to potty train them.
By the way, they
Yeah.
have a diagnosis for inability to potty train. So that's a known diagnosis.
Enumeresis and paraphoresis, which nobody me knows what that is in the courtroom.
Right.
Well, the whole fact of the matter is this is the plan, to traumatize the parent so that they can't fight. Because they've already got you in the predicament where you had to go pro se, which they dragged you through all these different hearings with different lawyers, right? And they're just playing a game. They're casting, they're throwing their bait out every time. Oh, she's going to get another lawyer. We're going to bankrupt her. We're going to, it's all about stealing the money, getting them into a position where they can't fight for themselves anymore. Then they're like, well, you'll go pro se. And then they humiliate you and humiliate your kids and then say, well, you're not doing this. You're not adequate. And it's like they literally paint you into a corner. This is how they work. It's very sadistic.
All of this while they have no idea what I have to hear strangers tell me, your children want this, your children need that, your children are happy where they are, they're doing this thing, all while my children are nonverbal, and I don't even think that their lawyer met with them prior to the adjudication hearing. So you're speaking on their opinions, their thoughts, their wants, their needs, and you've not even met nor spoke to my children. Number one, because you can't. And then number two, because you didn't.
You didn't try.
But that tells you that she was doing a good job in court for them to like, oh, we need to humiliate her. We need to make her feel bad. And I have seen Michaela in court, and she does do really well.
She does do really
well in court, especially when they're attacking her. She's very good at her responses, I will say.
I don't want to bury a very important fact. Your children are disabled. There's 3 of them with disabilities.
Yes.
Can Sylvia, maybe you can speak to the disability factor and what that means to DFACS and to the state.
Nancy Schaefer said it. She said that for disabled kids, they get $2,000 more per child than they do for just, if you don't have any of those disabilities. So it is money. It's completely money.
Well, if there's more than 2 siblings, they also get another bonus, and there's 3, and they're disabled, and Michaela already got them Social Security benefits. So Social Security benefits, a bonus for a sibling group, a bonus for disability, plus the base rate they get. They're getting about $15,000 a month.
Can you say that again? How much?
$15,000 a month per child for my children, that when we go to visits, they don't have diapers. They have the inappropriate clothes on. My children's hair is never done, but you're getting $15,000.
Oh, and she has to pay for all their food and gas and all of that stuff because they don't have the money.
They send my children to daycare because the families that have them, I don't know, I guess they don't have the money to take care of them. They still got to go to work, so they just send my children to daycare, even though they're getting $15,000 per child.
Well, the foster placement is not, but DFACS is.
Right. And so and they're also getting bruised up. This is
so the case got transferred to another county, which actually
the wards.
Hold on. The case got transferred to a different county, which is actually the county we live in. For whatever reason, we were in the county that we didn't live in for 6 months, even though we kept saying we don't live in this county. But finally, after he found her, like at fault,
telling the truth about that part.
Well, the judge finally agreed that we were right about that we didn't live in his county, but that she's still at fault, even though not one time have they ever identified or proven that the children were ever harmed in her care or my care in any way, shape, and form. They've never even alleged that the children were harmed.
As a matter of fact, they've said at multiple court hearings now, they don't know how I was doing such a good job with taking care of the kids. They don't know how I am doing such a good job at going to the visits and being a good mother when I have them, but the paperwork is the hard part for me.
That's what they keep telling her. is that she's not doing enough paperwork.
I'm not doing the evaluations and jumping through all the hoops that defects wants me to jump through because I'm too busy worrying about how my nonverbal autistic kids are being taken care of and not whatever check boxes that defects wants me to check.
And they, in court, I remember they said you weren't doing some of the stuff that they wanted you to, and you had been doing them and you had the paperwork, and they just didn't enter it into the system and they didn't put it on the case plan.
My court-appointed lawyer didn't give them any of the paperwork that I had to say I'd done it.
She gave it all to the court-appointed lawyer that fell asleep, and he forgot to
give it to
the court. Yeah. So we transferred to another county. It took that county 3 months from December to March to even have a hearing. And then as soon as she had a hearing, before she even had a hearing, I should say, we found out that the kids got genital warts. 2 out of 3 of them.
My 2 oldest
have genital warts. We have no idea how that's happened. We've asked to go to the doctor. We've asked to all for records, blah, blah, blah. They just basically refused to let us go to the doctor appointment. They took the kids to some doctor with the foster placement that they were with at the time, refused to let us see the records or be on the phone or video or anything. And then they left that doctor's appointment saying, oh, well, it's just warts.
No, the first thing that they said was they had the warts prior to coming to care.
That's right. They tried to blame it on her. They said they had the warts prior to the...
And I had 2 pediatricians that I had been previously taking them to in Texas and in Georgia that attested to all of their documents saying we've peeked in their diapers when they come into the appointments and there was not a wart. Not any time that I took them to the doctor. And we had just had scarlet fever in Texas, so we were at the doctor's office. And then as soon as I got here to Georgia to get them enrolled in school, we were at the doctor's office. So there was no warts from the doctors they had previously seen. And then after, I wasn't just going to let it go and say, I agreed that I gave them warts prior to them coming in. They let me go to a doctor's appointment with the placement that they're at now. And the doctor and the CPS worker said, oh, well, it's not genital warts. It's just regular warts that happen to be on their genitals.
What? I'm sorry. These people need a mental evaluation.
And that was coming from the doctor. That was the doctor and the defects worker. So no, it's just always trying to cover up. And if that didn't work, then we're going to do this one.
However, all of a sudden they said, oh, we have to change placements. Because y'all know they got genital warts there.
And they tried to tell me that they didn't want the kids back.
So then they said, oh, we can't find another placement. So guess what they had to do?
Oh, I found out when I was at work. I get a call from the CASA, which I don't think I had met her yet because we transferred from
counties.
And she said, hi, my name is Jane Fisher, and I was trying to figure out where your kids are. And I had a breakdown at work and called the deputy of everybody of DFACS. I called my aunt. I called everybody that had anything to do with it because DFACS is telling me that they lost my kids. So then I think it was 4 days.
Oh, but we found out where they were.
Yeah, it was 4 days before we figured out where they were.
You ready?
Respite care. Wow. Because they couldn't find a place that was able to take care of my kids. So they had to put them in respite care.
You cannot write a script. No one would believe the script. That's how crazy it is.
When I tell people my
These
story,
people are
no one
nuts.
does believe me because they're like, oh, you had to have made it up because this doesn't make any sense. But then when we found them at the respite care, they had split them up into 3 different respite homes. My children that are special needs, nonverbal, that have been together with each other every day of their life. And they split my children up. That was about when their behavior and moods started declining, was when they first split them up. So then I found out shortly after they split them up and had them in respite care that they started my children on psychotropic medications without my knowledge, my permission, anything. And my oldest son was like falling asleep at the visits. He couldn't keep his eyes open. He couldn't stay up. He was just zombified. Like when I was in foster care, I'd see they did to the other kids. So I was livid, and then they ended up putting my daughter on the medications, and it made her behavior go out of whack, and the foster placement put her in respite care again because they couldn't handle her when she was on the psychotropic medicines. So when she was in respite care, they took her off, which you're not supposed to take a child off of psychotropic medicines
Immediately. Cold turkey.
It's supposed to be weaned. So then she got even worse. And it was to the point to where they were saying, she can't be in school. She can't do this thing. She's having all these behavior problems. And then it came that they wanted to put my youngest on it. And I actually got to go to the doctor's visit for that. And I told the doctor, no, I don't want him on it. He doesn't have any issues. I'm already going through issues with the oldest too. And the doctor agreed with me and was like, if you don't want to, we're not going to. But it took me screaming and saying, look at how they're doing with it. And right now, currently, I don't even know if they're on or off of it, because when I talked to that doctor and was like, so tell me about what medicines my oldest two are on, she said, well, let's look into it. Something like guafazine, I believe. And she asked the
No,
placement.
that's cough medicine.
No,
No, there is a guafazine. That's one of the psychotropic medications that put them on. Yeah, it's.
Oh, go ahead.
No, that is one that they put them on.
But she then said, okay, well, she looked up what his milligrams was, and she was like, oh, he's being overdosed. He shouldn't be getting a dose 3 times a day. He should only be getting a dose at night so that it's slow release for him to get throughout the day in the morning. And I was like, well, that makes sense for why he's falling asleep all day, because he's just doped up.
So let me ask you something real quick, and I don't know if you can answer this. Maybe Sylvia can. Is it for per dose? Are they getting paid by the dose, or is it just by the medication?
It's not by the dose. It's more like if the child is on psychotropic medication, then they get more money for that child, because it says that they have behaviors, that they need more help, and they need more funding in order to get them more help. So it's another money thing.
And they kept trying to gaslight me into, well, your children are special needs and they're not talking, and medications would really help. This is what you should do. Don't you want to help your children with medications? No, I don't. And I had to stand real firm in front of a lot of people in the doctor's office, because there's about 8 of us in there, and say, I don't want my children on these medications. And
even though we had all the services, the gold standard services for their diagnosis in place, DFACS canceled all those services, and they still don't have those services. It's been 1 year. They were supposed to get medical beds, speech devices. They have none of that. They had membership to the YMCA to do swim therapy. They had play therapy. All of that's canceled.
Completely canceled. Where are we in the story now?
Okay, so we had the hearing. They got the dad who abandoned the whole family back in 2022. They got him involved. DFACS called him for some weird reason. Who knows? And since then, the judge has pretty much been hanging that over her head every single time. Like, he's going to get the kids unless you do this. And
it was so crazy to hear them in court with him having physically abused me and been convicted of such, and be on probation, say, well, he's done all of his probation. He's a great dad.
And he hasn't been in their life either for a while, has he?
Yeah, he hasn't been a part of their life since
2022.
And the kids are not bonded to him. He was physically and mentally abusive to both me and at least my oldest. And I just don't know. And I explained it to everybody in the situation. I don't know why y'all would think that him. I said that in my closing argument when I was representing myself pro se, is that as much as I cannot stand that my children are in DFACS custody, it would be paramount that y'all not let them go to their father because of what a horrible person he is. But everyone just thought I was, I don't know, lying.
And just so everybody knows, this is not just like she has bad feelings towards her ex. It's
very much.
It's a lot more than that. Yeah, it's a lot more than that. We don't.
Well, I mean, he was incarcerated for it, right? I mean, so
No, he pled down.
He would no. Y'all are getting all the words mixed up. He was charged with a felony, domestic violence, but because she was scared to testify against him, he was able to plead down to a misdemeanor, but he was on probation for what, 2 years?
A year.
1 year. 1 year. And DFACS, all that out of that whole what I just said, all they heard was, oh, well, he finished his probation, so he's good to go.
Yeah.
See how that
I mean,
happens? She's the one that they're bonded to, the one that's been taking care of them, the loving, nurturing, and then they want to give them to the parent that hasn't been in their life, that they're not bonded to, that they don't know, that has a past of abuse, physical abuse. And I am very passionate about domestic violence. I mean, I know so many women. It is so dangerous. It is life-threatening. You cannot place children in a domestic violent home. You cannot. So this brings us up to July 17th.
Yes.
Well, wait, hold on one second because I think this is important. So the father is being used as a pawn, and I can see this going multiple ways, right? So the judge has the power of dangling that in front of Michaela, like, oh, look, we're going to give him to the abuser. Look at this, right? Dangling in front of him, right? And but then it gives them options. It gives the judge options, like, well, yeah, if we give it to him, we're going to make a whole bunch of money there too, because then we can get all the kids medicated and get them on all these drugs and all this other stuff, get them in care, get him going through parental classes, right? All the things they do to everybody. Or
because he's doing everything that they asked him to do. He's checking all the boxes.
But here's the weird thing. They only gave him like 3 things to do, which is weird because usually they give you like 12.
They gave me and then even put it off on him that I need to mediate with him. They said it's up to me on the case plan. It's my responsibility to mediate co-parenting with him.
And that's part of the reason why she can't get unsupervised visitation, because she won't mediate a co-parenting plan with him. The person that put her in the hospital.
Evil.
So many layers of evil.
Oh my gosh.
So July.
Yeah, so we're up to July. Take it, Sylvia.
Oh, so by the way, Garth said it's called the Protected Empire.
Protected Empire, thank you.
Yes. Empire. That's it. It's the Protected Empire. Mm-hmm. So we get to court. Okay. Michaela's had so many lawyers that haven't represented her. We go to the clerk's office. We file for Heather to represent her. We go to the courtroom. And when we get there, this is what happened. And so this is the body camera of them kicking us out. Y'all, I have never witnessed. I've been in court a lot. I've seen them throw me out as an advocate. I've seen them throw out supporters, but I've never seen them throw out an attorney. Like this judge, and this is Judge Amber Sorrows in Dawson County Juvenile Court. So if you want to play the body camera.
I don't have body camera footage.
Yeah, it's in Telegram.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. Sorry. I'm in Telegram, but I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
It's in yours?
Gino.
Yours. Okay, I got
it. He gets confused with Telegram.
I do.
He thinks everybody can see it.
Oh, Lord. I haven't seen this. Oh, God. Here we go.
Me either.
Right?
I have no idea why it's buffering, but hold on.
We'll put your race which one you want.
I'm sorry, wait, is this Michaela's case that y'all are doing a closed?
Ma'am, you can leave. Go ahead and leave. No,
Did we have a hearing on why it was closed?
No, come on. Let's go.
Courtrooms are open to the public.
No, when it's closed to juvenile for
I have no idea why it's doing this.
Me either.
Judge, it's not.
No, that's not right.
Leave. No.
it ends there and he walks around and they continue the court hearing.
Which I didn't stay for long.
Yeah, they kicked me out even though I was her lawyer. And then they kept, I don't know what they were doing. And Michaela just basically said, "Hey, where's my lawyer?"
Yeah, I had to speak up because as soon as they kicked them out, I was literally at the desk in the back by myself, like they like to put me. And they started to continue the court hearing, and they were saying what a terrible person I was. And I just couldn't sit there and listen to that. I raised my hand and I was like, "Do I get anybody at the desk with me?" And she was like, "No, your lawyer quit or withdrew." And I said, "I didn't know that." And she said, "Well, you should have known that, but you need to sit down and be quiet and represent yourself pro se." And I just said, "All right, bye-bye.
She
I'm not
just left.
sticking around for that."
She left, which, by the way, I don't encourage people to leave in the middle of court. That's not what I'm saying. But if your due process rights are being violated and you cannot have counsel and they've not given you counsel, then the whole hearing is void anyway. So the only purpose of that hearing was going to be to humiliate and intimidate her. So she left.
It's a ritual. It's a literal ritual. And that's what they do. And I don't blame you, Michaela. I wouldn't have stuck around and played their game either. Like, they literally just say horrible things, slanderous things that aren't true. There's no evidence. It's only hearsay. And they get to beat her down and beat her down and beat her down until she is paralyzed, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to be paralyzed. They don't want you to be able to fight. So I didn't know what to do other than go live, because I was like, I've never witnessed this ever. So that was when I went outside. You don't have to show that video. We showed that. You can go to my page if you want to see it. But that was the only thing I knew to do, was go live. Okay, so we didn't know anything that happened in court because they don't communicate, right? They do not tell you what happens. We didn't know what happened with the kids, nothing. And then we go to, Michaela and I go to the courthouse on
yesterday morning. No, it feels like a couple days ago because I've been doing so much. But yes.
What day was that? That was Tuesday, like
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday? Yeah. Yes. And we asked for the paperwork. The caseworker did tell Michaela that she had a visit, her scheduled visit.
Which was amazing,
So
because that was the only way we knew that the kids had not been given to their dad.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so we get the paperwork, we go to the police station, we get the body camera for that. And then she goes to the visit.
Oh, yeah.
And then when she gets to the visit, her kids are beat up. And Gina, I put in the telegram, I put the pictures of her child and the post that I made. She was not informed about the incident. Her son has a black eye with, you can see that vessel. It's a broken vessel. You can see right there. Like,
oh, just to explain, well,
yeah,
so in the court, I guess it was Sunday that after we found out, no, it wasn't. Court was Thursday, so we found out that the kids hadn't gone with their father, and the defects worker let me know that it's now court ordered for me to confirm the visits beforehand. And because I didn't confirm on time, they told me your visit is canceled on Monday.
They canceled the visit.
They canceled the visit
because supposedly she was supposed to confirm visits, which, by the way, anybody listening out there, there is no such law that says that. That's not accurate at all.
And since we went to the clerk's office to pick up all the paperwork from what was entered into being court ordered yesterday, I read through all of that, and there was nothing in there about visitations and confirming.
Even if there is a court order, for anybody listening out there, judges do not have the authority to condition a parent's visitation. The law is pretty clear about that. You get unsupervised visitation unless you're a danger to your child. Full stop. No conditions. No, I mean,
So
They can't say you got to stand on one foot every Tuesday and text us at the same time. No, none of that.
So I usually get visits Mondays and Wednesdays. We had court last Thursday. They canceled my visit on Monday, and Wednesday was my next day to be able to see the kids. So I got all my business done with Miss Sylvia in the morning, taking care of all the paperwork and everything. And I got to my visit, and the transporter informed me of what happened. But his story that he told me was, oh, your older two children were getting beat up by another children at a daycare that they're at, and that they mostly beat up my oldest son. My daughter got it a little bit, and then my youngest son apparently took off running, which anybody that knows my kids would know that that's completely out of their characters. My youngest son has to be with his siblings. He would never have run.
He would never have run away.
My daughter is very, very timid, and she
would
can get aggressive. She would have taken off, or she would have hurt somebody worse. And then my oldest son is very stoic, and if he would have had something like that happen, he either would have run or he would have fought back. And the transporter was the one to inform me this, and he told me that it happened Monday when my visit was supposedly canceled.
The same day her visit was canceled. Interesting, right?
So
What a coincidence.
Very much so. So at the end of the visit, I let the transporter know I don't want to take any of my visit time, but I'm going to go ahead and call the police so that they can do a documentation of all of the injuries that is on my son and the documentation of any injuries that were on my daughter, and take them to the hospital and make a police report of everything that happened. The transporter got real uncomfortable, and this is somebody who he's been really good with my kids, and he's the one who told me about when my kids got on the psychotropic medications as well. So he tries to give me as much information as possible because DFACS does not. And
the transporter knows more about her kids than she does.
Yeah.
And that's not supposed to happen either.
And so when the police got there, the police walked in, said, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. When I informed him that I was going to be calling the police, he got very uncomfortable and said he has to leave at 7:00 no matter what. He has another job to get to. He doesn't want all this going on with the police showing up, and where he was uncomfortable. And I pretty much told him, I'm sorry you're uncomfortable, but I have to do what I have to do for my kids. And he was like, okay, you got to do what you got to do. So he calls the caseworker, and the caseworker starts blowing up my phone during the visit. And when I don't answer my phone, she calls the transporter, and the transporter says, here, this is for you. I got on the phone for about 3 seconds and said, I'm in the middle of my visit right now. I can't talk, but there's a lot of stuff we need to talk about. And I handed him his phone back. When the police got there with just a few minutes of the visit left, they came in and they said, what happened? And I said, well, here's my son who's in DFACS custody. He had some incident happen. I have no idea, but he's hurt and he needs medical attention. The police officer, because we were on a visit in a different county than either I live in or he lives in, said, oh, no, that's not my jurisdiction, and walked right back out. And my kids left, and I stayed there to try and have a conversation that was not really helpful because the cops, just like everybody else in this situation, didn't want to be involved and didn't believe me. It was like, there's no way that they didn't tell you where your kids are at, that you don't know the daycare, that you don't know where they're going or what's happening. There's no way. That doesn't make sense.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the police officers asked us, after he let the transporter leave with the children, did y'all get that guy's name? And I said, wait, didn't you get his name? They said, no. I said, and then they said, did you get his license tag? And I said, wait, what? Didn't you get his license tag? They were like, no. I said, you mean you just let this man drive off with these kids with bruises on them, and you're more worried about jurisdiction? And you didn't even find out where that guy's going or what's his name or anything? And they just looked down at their feet.
So I had to
intentional or incompetence. I don't know. I can't judge someone's heart, but I have my own suspicions. But I will say this, the jurisdiction thing is the biggest joke of all. Because if you have an injured child and you're supposed to protect and serve your community, even if it's outside of your jurisdiction, aren't you supposed to help the least among us? Like, I don't understand that at all. You see a child has a black eye and you don't want.
After my kids left, he said he didn't even see the black eye.
Oh yeah, he said no, I didn't see that.
Even
this
though
guy?
when
Okay,
I said,
so
do
he-
you see his eye when we were in there?
So
was
he
like,
didn't. So he didn't see the transporter, didn't see his car, didn't see his license plate, and didn't see a black eye. Okay, this guy needs to be fired.
Yeah.
Hey, they have no morals.
Well, then he told me, as he was leaving, he told me, look, if DFAX is involved, there's nothing I can do. And I said, politely, let me correct you. DFAX is not above the law. You are law enforcement. If they're breaking the law, it is your duty to hold them accountable. And he said, well, you have a nice night.
So, and the last piece of the story would be today when I was calmed down enough to have a conversation with the caseworker, and I called her to figure out what happened.
Hear her story.
She starts off with apologies and shaky voices.
Wait, I should tell you, I've known this woman for at least 6 years, and she normally has this voice like, I am in charge. Everyone will listen to me. Oh my God, her voice was like shaking.
Mousy. And the way that she's talked to me before this, she was mousy. She got on the phone and she was like, I just want to start off by apologizing. I'm completely in the wrong because I didn't inform you of what happened with the children.
For 6 days.
Wait, I hadn't even got to that.
Sorry.
That's the thing, is that she said that the incident took place on Friday. So the day after court. And me and her had been texting. We texted Sunday. We texted Monday. I don't think we texted Tuesday. I texted the transporter Tuesday, but we texted on Sunday and Monday. So that was 6 days that she had to tell me. You could tell me that my visit is canceled, but not that my children had been physically abused by someone and that court ordered.
That's a cover up.
And so she said, I'm so sorry. And then her excuse was, I was on leave for 2 days. So I thought, I just assumed that they were gonna tell you.
That someone else would tell you.
But she was on leave texting me about the visits and
But
about
funny, I wonder if that same caseworker would use that excuse if they went to some person's home and they said, "Oh, we were going to tell you 2 days later." I wonder if that would work for the parents.
I was thinking that the same time she said that, Gina.
And her explanation of what happened, different story than the transporter. Her story is that there was an 8-year-old boy with no disabilities, because my children are in a regular daycare with people who are not trained to take care of children with autism and disabilities. That there was an 8-year-old boy that they said my son hit him first, which my son would never
do that.
He plays on his own. He does not even, with autism, he does not even sometimes realize that there's other people in the room with, not realize it, but he just doesn't, it's different worlds. So he would never have just walked up and hit a random kid for no reason.
He's a very gentle soul. He would never have done that.
And they said that this 8-year-old boy hit him because he hit him. And so he retaliated and hit him back. And that my daughter was nearby, and I guess she got into it.
Lower your voice.
I'm sorry.
That's not true either, because she's a little
timid.
scaredy cat.
She would
and
not have.
He would have taken off.
My daughter was nearby, and that that she wasn't sure where my youngest was, but that she had been assured that the little boy had been suspended or made it to where he wasn't going to be able to go to the daycare, so that they just took my oldest son out of the daycare. But as of, I don't know if she said yesterday or the day before, she said that there was another incident that happened with my daughter and my youngest son for the injuries that are on my daughter. They said your youngest son, the daycare told her, your youngest son hit your daughter. That's why there's marks on her. Bit my daughter. That's why there's marks on her. And she said, but
then we looked at the video,
and it wasn't my youngest son that put their hands on her. So she also went on to say that in the incident report that was made, because they're doing all of these investigations
Their
and trying
own
to figure
internal investigation.
all this stuff out, because CPS in Noonan County was called because it was a daycare, little folks in Covington, that it's all being investigated, but that they didn't report that all the injuries to my son. They only reported the black eye that can be seen. There was a mark on his forehead, supposedly. He'd got the eye and the blood vessel thing, and then he's also been bit
on his chest,
which he was terrified on the visit on Wednesday to lift up his shirt. He was scared. He wouldn't let me do it. And then when I went to change his diaper, he was scared and he didn't want me to do it. I tried to take pictures with the black eye and he kept pushing the camera out. So somebody had been doing that, taking pictures and looking at his body because he was uncomfortable.
That's not normal. He loves to look at the camera. He's like,
he loved to take pictures, but he didn't want them anywhere on him. He was pushing which is not normal. I have thousands of videos that he's taken in my phone. So not only was the story different from what I heard from the transporter, it seemed as if there was 3 different stories that she was really trying to tell me of what did kind of happen.
She's just trying to smudge it all around so we can't figure out what's going on.
It's called CYA.
Yeah.
That's what it
is. And then when I asked her,
but she straight up asked her, go ahead.
Whose responsibility are my children's?
And she said, well, that day it would have been the daycare. And Michaela was like, no.
No. I said, your job title. Whose responsibility are my children? She said, well, my responsibility. Okay. So what happened that day and why didn't you tell me? And she was like, well, actually the responsibility falls on my boss.
Because I was on leave that day.
Because I was on leave that day. And then just to throw the little tidbit in there, that morning when we were on the way home from court, I saw her at McDonald's eating a burger in her car. So just to put it all out there that the pieces just blatantly don't make sense. I mean, really the story that I believe at this point is that there was an adult that put their hands on my children.
Definitely.
They have videos from this place, but my children would have fought back other children. I know them. And my oldest, he's very cooperative when it comes to adults and things, that if an adult would have put their hands on him, he wouldn't have done anything. He would have just sat there and taken it. And they're completely nonverbal, so all these people can tell me whatever they want.
Yep.
And let's not forget the genital warts.
That too, and they're spreading. They're coming down his legs. They're on his knees now. They're on my daughter's behind. And my youngest son doesn't have them. I don't know how, but he doesn't have them. But it's getting worse. And when we try to address that with the doctor's office, they were like, well, there's medicines that you can give them, but you'll have to pay for it out of pocket, parent, because it's not actually like a medicine. It's just a herb thing. And I was like, I don't care. I'll pay for it. How much is it? $60? And then all of a sudden the defects worker was like, well, if the foster parent pays for it, we can reimburse them. So maybe they should do it. And I was like, well, somebody needs to do it to get my kids, but it's still getting worse. So
wait a minute, folks, just so the audience knows that DFACS is all about being in the best interest of the child. Just so you all know that, okay?
You're right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I guess that's almost all caught up without all the super details of it.
So I filed an emergency, if anybody cares about the law part, I filed an emergency habeas corpus petition because the kids are, being harmed in custody, and there's no safety concern with them returning home. And there's no reason they should have ever been in DFAC since we just asked for respite care for 4 hours. So we'll see where that goes.
The other thing is that they didn't have a plan for them. They don't have anywhere for them to be in daycare. They don't have anybody to watch them now. And so she even said out of her mouth, well, we're trying to figure out a plan for who's going to be watching them. And
they don't have a plan at all right now.
All these things. So they might go back into respite care. We don't know what's happening. So that's where the conversation ended with her.
Heather,
I want. Oh, go ahead, Sylvia.
Oh, well, go ahead, because.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, Heather. So you do have court coming up, right?
Yes. So this is another weirdo. We don't even really know what's going on. The judge sent us a mandatory requirement that my lawyer and I show up on July 31st.
And to juvenile court, right?
To juvenile court.
To
but
juvenile court, and you don't have a case, right?
I don't have a case, and they've told me that I can't be Michaela's lawyer and I can't be a party to Michaela's case, even though I'm the children's guardian. I have power of attorney over them, and they live in my house, but I can't be a party. But she is insisting that I be there, but we have no idea why. We have no idea who else is going to be there, which is obviously against the law. You can't just order somebody to show up and not tell them. But we've repeatedly asked why, and no email responses at all.
So we will be there, and I did put in a request. I filed a motion to record that meeting, hearing, whatever you want to call it, on July 31st. So if you are in the Dawson County area, we would like for you to meet us at the juvenile courthouse for Judge Amber Sorrows, who decides she can just summon anybody. I mean, like, heck, she might decide to summon me. I don't know.
She actually didn't even summon me. There's no summon. It's just a piece of paper.
So we could, well.
I know, believe me, I talked to my lawyer. I said, maybe we just don't show up at all. The problem is, if you're a licensed attorney and you don't show up when a judge calls, you really can get in trouble. So I don't, two wrongs don't make it right.
Trying to find their way. So anyways, like I was saying, Rescue the Fosters will be there on July 31st, and I will have my, nifty little recorder, and we'll see if I get to record the meeting. Last time I filed that motion, she didn't even follow the procedures on denying me. She just didn't respond at all. So that's probably what she will do this time, is just not respond at all. But hey, Judge Amber Sorrows, if you're watching the podcast, please respond.
If she's watching,
Heather, you would. That's right. Heather, you mentioned earlier about Michaela was not allowed due process, right? But that's kind of the playbook again. There is no such thing as due process in the juvenile court and family court. It doesn't exist because there's no constitution. And by the way, folks, there's no jury of your peers either. Like the whole thing is a sham.
Oh, and they can close the court whenever they feel like it, even though that's against the law, but the police don't seem to know that.
And make you represent yourself with no law degree because they felt like it.
Yeah,
and with no warning. There was no warning.
Yeah. And then when I asked the police what, Heather told him what law, and then he said the judge did it. And I was like, and then he goes, you need to take it up to the judge. And I was like, you didn't let her take it up to the judge. You kicked her out. And then he goes, the judge did it. I was like, no, you did that.
Sylvia said, no, you did it.
I was hoping that would be on the body camera. They didn't video that part.
They didn't save that part. Oh,
no.
So speaking of the body cam, I think it's working now. Do you guys want to watch it? It's like a minute long.
Yes.
Let me see if I can get it going.
You'll go, we'll put your race which way you want.
I'm sorry, wait, is this Michaela's case that y'all are doing a closed?
Ma'am, you can leave. Go ahead and leave. No,
Did we have a hearing on why it was closed?
No, come on, let's go.
Courtrooms are open to the public.
No, when it's closed to juvenile for judge, it's not.
No, that's not right.
Leave,
actually.
leave. No,
It is open to the public.
I will not argue.
Just as long as we get it on the record.
I'm sorry, the last question.
That's all they got.
The first is business with name it. I don't know.
I think that's it, Gina.
Yeah, they didn't. That's all they got, Heather. Isn't that funny? They didn't get any of the other.
That was just the very end of
So,
it, y'all.
but that doesn't surprise me. Sylvia, I told you, remember when we were talking on the phone earlier, I said, how do you know it's not edited? You're like, oh no, they give you the full thing. They can do whatever they want. There's no oversight. This is a joke. The whole thing is a scam, a sham. I don't care, whatever you call it. Kangaroo court. It's ridiculous. And did you see what a tough guy? Ooh, he's throwing out 2 women.
Oh,
Tough
he
guy.
was yelling. Like before he turned the camera on, he was in her face screaming.
Right here in my face.
Yeah, and
You
let
see
me
them
tell you,
backing them out of the courtroom like, I'm gonna puff up my chest with y'all.
They did. They
And he-
literally puffed up their chest right in my eye.
They tried to do it with me at first, but we're the same height, so they didn't do it to me and was like, oh, I'll just do it to the 2 smaller women since she's not intimidated.
Unbelievable.
I'm very short, so.
So now you got to go back and tell them we want the rest. Give us the rest. What's this nonsense? In a minute.
well-
Come on.
Yeah, I went into the courtroom and the judge started yelling at me immediately to get out. And I said, actually, Judge, I'm the lawyer today. And she said, no, you're not. You've been kicked off. And I said, actually, you and I both know that that order is void. And even if it wasn't void, it's expired. So I'm going to represent my client today. And she said, no, you're not. And I said, Judge, am I on the record? And she said, yes, you are. I said, fantastic. Can I stand in front of a mic? Because somebody was in front of there's like 5 mics. Somebody was standing in front of each mic. And I was like, can I get in front of a mic? And she said, no, you may not. And I said, all right, can I be heard as the children's guardian and providing housing to the children? She said, no, you may not. And that's when the police, I could hear Sylvia behind me, but I couldn't tell what she was saying. I think she was asking one of them.
or was that it was Michaela's case, because I thought, you know how like they always have other cases before. So I was thinking, okay, this is another case. This isn't Michaela's case because they haven't done that before. And then all of a sudden, oh no, this is closed hearing. No. And I'm like, wait, it's Michaela's case? You know, I was confused. But I'm glad I was a little bit confused because I at least got that on record.
Yeah. I could hear you asking that over and over, and they were just ignoring Sylvia. And so the officer that you saw, the taller one, so I'm 5'2". I don't know how tall he was, but the camera was pretty much right at my eyes. So he literally put his body right next to mine. He didn't touch me, but the camera was right here in my face. So I was like, we haven't had a hearing. Why am I being kicked out? The code section is 11-15-700. 15-11-700. I kept saying it over and over, but you see how they cut all that out.
And the funny thing is everybody in the room was looking down like they knew it was wrong. No one was looking up. You looked around at the defects lawyer, at the kids lawyer, at the CASA, at the random people writing things down in the room, and all of them had their tails tucked between their legs because they saw how wrong it was.
Right. Yep, that is true. They all were like this, like, and they were doing their eyeballs like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kept saying that code section. That's why they cut it out. And you see the part that they left was just him like saying, get out. I'm not going to argue. And I was like, courtrooms are open to the public. He said, no, they're not. Not when judges close them. Judges don't have authority to close courtrooms.
I mean, and then it's humiliating already for anybody to be able to be there in the first place to hear these intimate moments. And I've had to go through a year of anybody being able to listen to the intimate moments just for when I have support there for them to say, oh, no, not if it's going to be beneficial for you. Are we going to let people be in the room?
Right. Exactly.
Double standards, hypocrites, lawbreakers, evil.
Thank you to everybody out there who heard our story. I hope that it was somehow informative. You learned something. You can relate anything. So I appreciate you taking your valuable time to listen to our story.
Yes.
Yeah, guys out there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sylvia.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're having trouble on Foxhole. I don't know what's going on over there. That keeps reconnecting, disconnecting. So it's not on my end. My internet's perfect. Rumble's been working great. X is working great. So if you guys want to jump over to Rumble, it's Insight Channel, or you can go to John's. I always forget. Is it Real John MK? I think. Yeah. at Real John MK on X. You can go over to his. We got a bunch of people watching over there. Guys, also, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We have it on YouTube too.
And YouTube. Yeah, I always forget YouTube because I've been banned there so many times that I just have such a disdain for that platform. But yes, we are YouTube. I just got it started again. We'll see if I can stay there for a while. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, if you guys can like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. I know people always ask on all these podcasts to do that. It really does help. Like, these stories need to be heard. Michaela's story needs to be heard. These judges need to be put on notice. They need eyeballs looking over their shoulders. There's no oversight. Zero. The only oversight that ever happens is when there's court watchers, and you just saw they kick them out sometimes. Okay. So or they close the courtroom. So we really, really, really need the word to get out on all these platforms. That would help us so much, and we would appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, Sylvia, you were going to say something.
I'm going to start carrying around a copy of 1511-700 that says the courtroom has to be open. And if anybody else out there wants to do that, I encourage you, carry a piece of paper. When the police try to kick you out, say, "Here you go."
No, you just make T-shirts. You guys wear T-shirts.
You can't wear graphic T-shirts in court.
Well, you could just put a tie on or something with it.
Mark on my body, a marker.
Write it on your arm.
Do it like football and do like the Georgia code 1511-31.
Right.
That's good.
1511-700, everybody. 1511-700. Courtrooms are open to the public. There's some exceptions, of course, but generally open to the public.
Yes. Okay, I have one last thing that happened this week. We cannot mention names, but it was complete. I mean, I don't even have the words for it. Okay, so Cobb County has got my radar now. So this was Cobb County Juvenile Court. They closed the court there too. Hey, didn't even allow the family to be in there. And the guardian ad litem and the state attorney. Now, I can say those names, just not the other parents, because I've done called them out on Facebook and they've already responded. But that was guardian ad litem Victoria Rowan and state attorney Dina Krim, CRIM. They denied a youth a scholarship. She received a scholarship to a private school, and they denied her it, and they are making her go to public school. Does that make sense?
And
wait, let me just add, a public school where she has previously been traumatized
and harassed and
bullied,
PTSD and panic attacks.
I thought we were all about education. I thought we were about helping kids out. I thought it was about making them better citizens for the next generation to succeed, to peak out at their talent, right? Like all this stuff that we've been told, it's all nonsense. It's a joke. They don't care. They could care less about kids. This girl wants to excel in her education and they won't allow it. They're literally putting a stop to it.
Literally. I mean, they really do need a mental evaluation because this does not make sense.
Well, just so you know, I don't want anybody out there to say, "Hey, y'all are leaving something out." Their argument was somehow the application to get the scholarship was done fraudulently, so we don't want her to have the scholarship. That's their argument.
Because they have such higher standards and morals than all of us.
Right.
Because they always play it by the book.
Right.
Argument, it has nothing to do with the child. No. We didn't get to make that decision. We didn't get to say yes. No, we didn't get to do any of that. This is about us, not her.
So I'm almost positive that DFACS would make money from this, but they would get money for her going to a public school because it's like funded versus the private school, right?
Yeah, there's federal funding, and money.
And not only that, like you could literally hear them because they were so loud. Like they were arguing with each other, and you could literally hear like, well, we didn't say, well, we didn't agree, da 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 da. So like you could literally hear them. Like apparently they wanted us to hear it.
Well, they didn't know who we were, to be honest with you. They sat right beside us, not knowing who we were. And then Victoria had the audacity to respond to my comments on Facebook like I was just going to run. No.
I saw that and loved it.
Just so everybody knows, I'm a lawyer. I wasn't there. I don't know these people. I've just been told the story. And then this lawyer made such a fool of herself and posted all kinds of stuff on Facebook. So I responded to each thing she posted saying, well, that's against the law. Well, that's against the law. Well, now you're violating your ethics. What are you doing, girl? And so she disappeared.
Yeah. But, I think you have a recording of, she made her cry. Yes. Okay. She made her cry in the bathroom. And this is the guardian ad litem. Then she goes in there and goes, what's wrong? Are you freaking kidding me? Talk about gaslighting. And like, she literally just denied her that the youth runs to the bathroom and starts crying. And she goes in there and goes, what's wrong?
Like the emotional intelligence is 0.
It's not even that, because they did that with my case too, where they followed me to the bathroom. And it's like, you're already in this super uncomfortable, institutionalized place of being in a courtroom, especially as a child like that. You run to the bathroom because you're trying to be safe, and then they follow you.
You know, KK too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's terrible what they're doing to kids like that.
It's awful.
I mean, they did it to me in the courtroom.
It's
Like,
almost
in the
Go ahead, KK. Sorry.
No, I say like they did that to me even in the courtroom. Like they when I was in one of my last my last hearing before I aged out, they're like, just get the COVID shot. I said, no, I don't want to. And she's like, well, the judge was like, well, it's not worth losing your placement. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not getting that shot. So then I had a really good guardian litem. Like she called them out. She did not play. She's like, okay, well, we're going to find her another place then. And so, but I didn't end up leaving that placement. And they're like, well, as long as she just wears a mask. But they do. They make you cry. So they did it in front of everybody. They made me cry. They made me sad. So
I push you into a corner to where you have to make decisions in front of them. You don't have time to think about it. They want you to be as sad or as angry as possible, making the decisions that affect you for really the rest of your life when you're, especially at that age, when you get to aging out. Like the fact that you even ask an 18-year-old, like, do you want to sign yourself back into care? Or do you want to just go be an adult with no help? Which one? Like that right there is a loaded question. That what are you supposed to do with that? Because I signed myself back in, but then they kicked me out when I got pregnant with my oldest son. So it was like, even though I was like, wait, I don't know if I want this, it was like, well, now that you're an adult for real and have children, good luck.
Wow. Yeah, but did you notice what she said? I wasn't going to bring this up, but if you brought it up, I want everybody to notice what she said. My baby got pregnant in custody. Oh, but nobody took responsibility for that.
Oh, no. That was your fault, Heather.
Well, they didn't blame me for that. They just then swept it under the rug. They're just not even going to acknowledge that.
They just kicked me out of my placement and out of foster care and was like, wait. You have somebody else we have to take care of? No.
Insane.
But it feels like, based on what you just said about that story and the girl in the bathroom, it was almost like she walked in there and said, what's wrong? Like invalidating. You're not really allowed to be sad about the fact that I just destroyed your rest of your high school career. Sorry.
Should I play I got the audio ready if you want to listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can play.
So we're going to have to take a different angle. Okay.
Okay.
The reason the judge took a break and the reason
Wait, Tina, that's not the.
does not have the authority.
I think you go to timestamp 7.
Oh, okay. I can move it ahead.
Yeah. We just wanted to play a little piece of this. We don't want to play the whole thing.
Okay, I think this is it.
Y'all made so many mistakes. Y'all don't know you're hurting me. Y'all don't. But when I start having PTSD, then you finally realize that you're hurting me. Then you realize. Y'all pulled me away from my family. The only people I know. And now y'all want to hurt me back. I'm not talking to y'all. I don't want to hear it anymore.
All right.
So leave me alone.
Okay. Mike, come in.
No.
Thank you for coming to figure.
Yeah, just leave me alone.
Oh, she doesn't want to come in.
Yeah.
It's okay. Thank you for saying that.
You can leave me alone. She needed to hear the truth.
Oh, I know. They do not care about.
They never did. They just want. They only like me because I was in the system my whole life, and they want to tear me away from everything I love.
No, trust me, that's what they do.
And then they want to act like they care.
Right. They try to play. They try to act like they care. They try to act like. But they don't really care. They don't.
Now they have to play my game, but my rules.
Heart-wrenching.
Oh my
17-year-old girl crushing her hopes and dreams.
And that's literally what they do.
And it's just so
They're-
sad that all she wants to do is be with her family, and like these people don't understand that. How is that so hard to understand?
Oh, they understand?
Yeah, I was gonna say they understand that. It's money.
Yeah.
It's complete money. But you can hear that emotion. Okay. This is not helping. This is not in the best interest of the children.
Right.
That's why I keep doing this, because there's no reason why that child should be hurting. There's no reason why Michaela's kids should be hurting. No reason.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and
Not at
this is literally hundreds of thousands of people.
Yes.
Garbage.
Yep.
These
Gino,
are good parents. Good parents. The government should not be involved at all.
No, not at all. And before we close out, I did want you to go just scroll over all of these news articles that I sent you of what's happening in Georgia DFCS. Okay, this is not helping the children. So the first one, Gino, is, what does it say?
The one about the little boy.
Oh yeah, that story that was in. Oh my God, there he is. Oh my, this is heartbreaking, y'all. I'm just gonna warn you right now. You might not want to watch this.
Oh my God.
That's Cobb County.
That's where my group home was.
Look.
Also, we're learning tonight about what happened to a 13-year-old who was shot and killed in Cobb County this week. He has died. Dacia Reed was taken to the hospital in critical condition on Monday following a shooting on Paget Drive. Police say 3 juveniles have now been arrested. Reed's family tells 11 Alive about his death today and wanted us to share that he was
Okay,
an
guys,
organ
this
donor.
might be too triggering
Even
for us.
though
I'm
this
sorry.
tragedy happened, he will be helping another
You can
family.
now. I just wanted people to see, like, they're not helping children. The next article is, I think, caseworker. I can't see.
Okay, this one says caseworker arrested for cocaine.
Yep, that one. Yeah, so I'll be posting these. 2 vets worker arrested for cocaine, pot, Nazi cotton. Okay. You don't have to do the whole articles. I just want you to see like what's happening. Like this is being reported. What is the next one?
I can't tell you how many caseworkers in court I've sat next to over the last 6 years that smelled like weed.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The
Bond
BA in my
or
case.
a social worker caught with drugs. And I'm gonna post these in the comments, so you can go on. Georgia defects employee pleads guilty to aggravated identity theft.
Because they have no moral compass, just like Nancy said.
Yes.
Yeah, they're there to collect a paycheck and make any extras they can. I mean, that's the obvious.
If there's any defects workers, listen to Sylvia. There's a desperate need for actual therapy and help. If you want to help these kids, please leave defects, and we'll help you find a way to help the kids.
Right.
Please. From the children that have been in there, you're not helping that way. It doesn't fix it. There are people like Miss Sylvia, Mr. Gino, my aunt, they're working to fix it. Staying in the system and just getting a check and having job security does not change anyone's lives. And it does not change the children's lives, and it's not helping you either.
Well, I want to circle back to the beginning. This was about Nancy Schaefer, and she did have some recommendations on how to fix the system. So these are her recommendations. Let me zoom in.
Call for an independent audit of all state child protective services and for a federal congressional hearing on child protective services nationwide. So just so you know, Donna, I don't know if Donna's on here, but she's another rock star here in Georgia. She's a social worker, but she will research the heck out of us something. And she found out in England, they already have this. I forgot the name of it, but they do independent audits. Number 2, activate immediate change. Every day that passes means more families and children are subject to being held hostage and their lives destroyed. Well, hopefully we were on the cusp of some immediate change. A lot of us feel it. I just spoke to a woman recently. I meant to tell you this, Gina. Gino, she told me for years she's been living with this shame and guilt. And just in the last 6 months, God told her, let that go. There's no more taboo. And she is so happy that she's found all of us. And I'm so happy to have her because she's a great woman. Okay, so what was the next one? I'm sorry. 3, abolish the federal and state financial incentives that have turned child protective services into a business that separates families for money. Well, I definitely agree with that, but as anybody who knows me will tell you, I do think we need to have federal funding, but it needs to go directly to the families, not through defects.
No.
Yeah, and I this is the point that you and I have talked about this before, Heather. Like I get what you're saying. I just feel like I don't know what the oversight looks like to correct this. I've been doing a little research using AI, looking up oversight committees and seeing which ones work, which ones don't.
Yeah.
I don't really know. This isn't my expertise, but I'm sure there's people out there that can figure out a way to have adequate oversight and accountability. There has to be, because we all know it's always about follow the money. That's how we find all these crimes. It's there's 3 things that that evil do. It's power, greed, and sex. Like those 3 things are always involved in all 3 together, a couple of them together, one by itself, but that's always the motives. And so money is a powerful motive for these politicians. And I don't think politicians should have their hands on it. I don't. I think I don't know who should have their hands on it, but whoever does, then there's oversight. And then none of this internal affairs crap, okay? No, we're not having that. Like, I don't want CPS investigating CPS. Like, give me a break.
And that's exactly how it goes. For anybody that doesn't know, right now, that's how the system works. CPS investigates themselves.
Just like what's happening with my children, investigating themselves for what happened on their own watch.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to come to the right conclusion.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Just like they did with the genital warts.
Right, right. And oh gosh, don't get me started. Okay, I'm not going down.
Okay, what's number 4?
Number 4.
Grant to parents their rights verbally and in writing. Oh, Sylvia and I are working on that right now. Yes, Sylvia and I are working on that right now. And for anybody interested, hopefully there's some lawyers out there too. I saw that recently the American Bar Association put out an announcement that they are going to update They're written parents' rights. And they sent a link for every state. So I clicked on Georgia. I was like, I've been a lawyer 15 years. I've never heard of this before. So I clicked on it. First of all, it's ancient. It's probably 20 years old. Secondly, it's totally wrong. And third, it was clearly written by a defects worker. So I told him, you got to take that down. Get that off. So Sylvia and I are working on an initiative for that. So if anybody knows how to type, I mean, we could use some help on that. If you know how to do a spreadsheet or make a newsletter, any of that, we could use some help.
Yeah,
So,
literally.
Sylvia, maybe we know somebody. We had a Zoom meeting with a young woman recently, and she wanted to be a part somehow. I'm going to reach out to her.
Oh, yeah.
Remind me about that.
Yeah, she did. She want to help us.
Now that we read the 4 suggestions that Nancy had, I want to remind everybody.
There's more. She had more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nancy thought this out real well.
She really did. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, number 5, mandate a search for family members to be given the opportunity to adopt their own relatives if children need to be removed permanently.
Wow.
Number 6,
I mean, isn't that one common sense?
Of course.
I mean, to be honest, isn't that the law?
It's not common because I don't know anybody that went home.
But isn't kinship the law? Isn't that supposed to be the law? And I think it's all the states, right?
So that's a federal law. It's called Family First Act. They have to, basically find the
family
relatives and tell them all their rights. They don't have to give them any money, but they do have to tell them all their rights and give them a voice and all of that. But I mean, you just saw the camera. They kicked me out. So they're not doing that.
No.
Number 6, mandate a jury trial where every piece of evidence is presented before permanently removing a child from his or her parents. Open family court, remove the secrecy, allow the press and family members access, give parents the opportunity in court to speak and be a part of their children's future. Is she talking right to us?
This woman she put this down on paper and she said, here it is for everyone, take it and run. So everyone on this call has a role to play. I'm telling you, you don't have to be the face if you don't want to speak up. There's a role for you. What's the next one?
Absolutely.
Number 7, require a warrant or a positive emergency circumstance before removing children from their parents. Judge Arthur G. Christian, Utah Bar Journal, January 1997, reported that, except in emergency circumstances, including the need for immediate medical care, require warrants upon affidavits of probable cause before entry upon private property is permitted for the forcible removal of children from their parents.
Go on.
Number 8, uphold the laws when someone fabricates or presents false evidence. If a parent alleges fraud, hold a hearing with the right to discovery of all evidence made available to parents.
Oh my God, as a lawyer, I love that one. That never happens.
No,
never. Oh, wow.
And then the final remarks. Yeah. On my desk are scores of cases of exhausted families and terrified children. It has been beyond me to turn my back on these suffering, crying, and beaten down individuals. We are mistreating the most innocent. Child Protective Services have become an adult-centered business to the detriment of children. No longer is judgment based on what the child needs or who the child wants to be with or whom or what is really best for the whole family. It is some adult or bureaucrat who makes the decisions based often on just hearsay, without ever consulting a family member or just what it convenient, profitable, or less troublesome for the social workers. I have witnessed such injustice and harm brought to so many families that I am not sure if I even believe reform of the system is possible. The system cannot be trusted. It does not serve the people. It obliterates families and children simply because it has the power to do so. Children deserve better. Families deserve better. It's time to pull back the curtain and set our children and families free. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. Proverbs 31, 8 through 9.
Amen. Well done, Nancy Schaefer.
Well done, Nancy Schaefer. Well done, Michaela.
Yes.
Well done, Miss Sylvia, Miss KK, and Mr. Gino, and my Aunt Heidi.
Right. Yay.
You know, gosh, she lays it out so good. And there's so many points. This is where I think, like, I personally, and I'm sure you guys are going to agree with this, the people that have been hurt by this, that have become advocates. I mean, Sylvia, KK, how many parents have we had on this show that are now advocating? It's almost like, it's got to be 75% of them. Like, it's a ton of them. Like, this is it. There will come a time. I know this is going to happen. I don't know if this is going to be in Congress, if we're going to have a forum or whatever it's going to be. All of those parents are going to come together. And I'm sure they got some great ideas. And I believe that Nancy's outline should be the basis for, they're the bullet points. Now, can they be tweaked here and there? Yeah, probably, and probably state to state. I don't know what the answers are. I don't. That's not my job. My job is hopefully to bring awareness to the subject, and so people can understand what's going on and the criminals that are running the system. That's what we're trying to expose. So we need your help. If you can like and subscribe, share, all that stuff, that would help tremendously. We appreciate that. If you want to donate to Rescue the Fosters, that would be a huge help. What the girls are doing is, I mean, they got a lot on their hands. There's a lot going on. So they could definitely use a few bucks that could help them go ahead and do the things they need to do. There's a lot that they have great ideas. Trust me, folks, lots of great ideas, not enough dollars. Okay. Lots of great ideas, not enough dollars. Like, we need to balance it out. We really need the help there. So that would be awesome. If you're a whistleblower, if you're ready to come forward, like we talked earlier, you're in the system. If you want to come on camera, that's great. If you don't, behind the scenes, we're all about it. We get it. Totally understand. But we need to hear your voice. And I know there's a whole bunch of you out there watching. You watch these programs. You probably watched a bunch of them. I'm getting the chills saying this because I know this is God speaking. I'm telling you, I know you've been watching.
Yeah.
You need to come forward. It's time. You can't let fear drive you. You can't let the fear of, oh my, I don't know if I could do this. No, it's what's right. Sometimes, I shouldn't say sometimes, all the time, it's about doing right.
It is.
So you got to do right. And if you probably went to school, maybe you went through some training and you became a caseworker and you thought you were going to help families out and help children and all this stuff. And now you've been in it for a year or two or three and you're starting to see some patterns that you don't like Sylvia did. And you made requests to some superiors and they're not listening to you. It's time. You got to step away. You can get another job. There's lots of jobs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's make something happen.
The truth will set you free, and where he guides, he provides.
Amen.
Can I just add one last thing? Workers, I know the environment. You have a phone. There's a record button on it. Start recording your supervisors and your directors. Record every meeting and you have your backup. You can prove how they twist your words, how they manipulate, how they turn it around on you. Children, start recording your caseworkers. I'm talking to the youth because you tell your caseworkers what are happening and they do nothing. Right. Start using your devices. And I know a lot of times you're not supposed to have devices, but I know you kids, you're really smart, and a lot of times you have devices. And I would recommend you record your caseworkers. Every conversation. Actually, every conversation with an adult that is not part of your family.
Yep, good advice. You know, one more thing I wanted to add. If court is going to be involved, and I'm sure it's going to have to be in some of these cases, then a jury is absolutely necessary. There needs to be a jury of your peers. Due process has to be afforded. This is ridiculous that parents are being brought in before a judge and lawyers that are all in on it, basically, 90% of them. And it's rigged. It's rigged, folks. Like, you need to understand that they have no chance. And God forbid this happens to you. I'm sorry, like it's rough. It's a rough go. And these people are trying to live they have to go to work. They have to get up and try to live every day. I mean, and your kids, you don't know what's happening to your kids. It's terrible. This has to stop. Please, please, please help. Please. Any way you can, whatever talents and gifts God's given you, use them to the best of your ability. Doesn't mean you have to start a podcast. Doesn't mean you have to be on a radio show, or be in the media. No, you can write a letter. You can email a letter to your senator, to your congressman, to the judge, to whoever. Go ahead, Sylvia.
Well, I was just going to say, you can also just pray, like this is a really big spiritual battle, and prayer is such a big part of it. I have literally watched all their tactics. Like there have been times where they can't even talk in court, and it's prayer. It's prayer that really, and for these children, because people are always saying, well, aren't you afraid? No, not for me. I'm not afraid. I'm afraid for the children. I'm afraid for them because nobody's protecting them. And then when you call the police, if they're in defense custody, they don't do nothing. So I'm afraid for them, not for me.
100%. Okay. Anybody have any thing to say before we go?
I was gonna say, just don't stay ignorant to thinking that defects is helping if you don't do anything else. Just know in your heart that they are not at all.
And don't judge anyone you know who might be going through this, because this happens to every color, every race, every ethnic group,
Every demographic.
Yeah. And it's not right. And we have to get rid of the taboo. That they want the taboo to keep people quiet.
And keep parents embarrassed because you're being gaslit into thinking that you're a bad parent. And like you said, you still have to go to work. You still have to wake up without your kids every day and somehow fight and prove that you're not who they say you are the whole time.
The Nazi. Oh, go ahead, KK. Go on.
Oh, yeah.
No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and also just research, like just how you watch like videos on your phone, on TikTok, whatever. Just look up CPS corruption or whatever, or even our pages. Look it up, and also start thinking for yourself. Stop just going along with the masses. Start really just taking a step back and really researching and really like, wait, is this really actually happening? Like, have those conversations with yourself and God. Like, really stop going along with whatever else you're seeing. Like, start thinking for yourself. Because if not, you're going to let them try to control how you think. This is the matrix we're in. It's either the red or the blue pill. Which one are you going to take? It's now or never.
Good job, KK. Yeah. How do you follow that? No, I wanted to mention one more thing. I know the Nazi card gets played all the time, but I didn't know. I always said, to me, this is like the Gestapo. If anybody knows anything about World War II, they understand who the Gestapo were. They were the secret police of the Nazis. They would go door to door and literally steal families, steal people from homes. Okay, we're not far off by comparing them to the Gestapo. And I didn't know that Nancy actually called them the Gestapo.
I know, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, like this.
So insightful.
Oh my gosh. And that's, to me, that's always been a good analogy because that is what's going on.
They are.
And I mean, yeah, I know. Emma Cord said this can happen to anyone. It can happen to anybody. And that's the sad part. And this is not like fear mongering either. I don't want that to happen. No, we stand tall and we keep them on their heels, and then the enemy will retreat. Truth will always prevail. It will. Sometimes it just takes a long time. I don't like it. The wheels of justice spin very slow, but we're going to get it done one way or another. Families are going to be reunited.
Wait, I have to add something too, real quick. Do not answer the door.
Right. Right.
You have that right.
Don't answer the phone. Don't answer the door.
Yes.
They can put it in writing.
Get cameras everywhere. In your facility, in your property. Do not answer the door. You have that right and that privilege.
Don't let them in your house.
Don't do
Amen.
the evaluations.
Don't
Yeah.
do the evaluations. Yes. Don't do the
Don't-
drug screens.
Don't
You don't have
take
to.
any of the bait.
Do not comply.
Yes, do not comply with defects because you're going to lose either way. Go down fighting. There you
Amen.
go.
Like-
All right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, KK. Thank you guys for watching. Lots of you tonight. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you, John, for letting us stream over on X. Appreciate you, brother, of course. Danny, good to see you over there in the Foxhole chat, and Joyful June, our usual crowd. Thank you guys. Stacks, I saw you. Lots of people over in Rumble. We appreciate you guys so much. I did get the email, if you're still there, Susie. So we will be contacting you about information with Nancy. That would be phenomenal. But okay, so thank you guys. We will be back. Sylvia, are we doing a Saturday show this week?
No.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't even know what today's date is.
I know, I don't either.
literally.
The four of us need some sleep, Gina. We
I
haven't
get it.
slept today.
I totally get it.
I'm so tired.
All right, everybody. God bless. Have a great night. Thank you.
Insecure and left alone to defend for ourselves. We are praying to the Lord for when this nightmare is going to end. How many more sleepless nights? How much more pain and tears do we have to endure? When can I see my family or someone who cares for me? Are we not good enough? Or are we just some test rats that have to follow orders? Are we just worth $1? Or are we actually being taken care of? Our hearts are burning in pain, and tears keep falling from our cheeks. Tired of crying and having our emotions in cycles. Our voices are being empowered by the ones who have more authority than us. However, today is the day it ends. No more feeling ashamed and leaving abandoned. We are standing up tall and raising our voices high. We are a child of God, and our work has just begun. God thinks we are worth enough and worth fighting for. God has our back and no need to fear. If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. Not one more child is going to be left alone and abandoned. Thank you, Jesus, for all you have done for us. And all glory goes to you. In Jesus' name, amen.